The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everyone? It is Friday, July 30th, 2021. This is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. How are y'all doing tonight? Good? Quite a few people in chat already. Cleary, what's up, Cleary? Ian Adams says Brandon's never late. He is from the future. Man, I wish, man. Win some lottery. Go get the numbers. Oh, man, that'd be so awesome. Something I daydream about on a regular basis. Ian Adams, page 42, Logan's Run, PJ Cruikshank, Rob Keane, Andrews Ace, Nick, Try Thinking, Bill G. Bill G says sound is good. Thank you, sir. Cleary, I think I already said Cleary. I'm really tired, so. Brandon Cook, what's up, Brandon? And Cringe Bait, and I think I got everybody. What's going on, guys? I did not sleep at all last night, to be honest with you. So hopefully I make sense for most of the show. Oh, Silent Zero, what's up, man? And Brenda. Hopefully I make sense during the show. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. It's been kind of a weird day. So it could be an interesting evening. I was watching a Sean Hawkins video before the show. And he was responding to a video that Brian put out. And hopefully Brian's around so we can talk about it, because he said a couple things in there I want to ask him about. Did the stream crash? No? Okay. Man, just 100% smack talk. It's hilarious. And then I point that out and he says to me, you never debunk any of my videos. This guy cannot be a serious person. Sean, you're one of the greatest comedians, a real unsung comedic genius. I want you to know, at least I understand. So shout out Sean Hawkins. All right. Well, start Friday night off with a shout out of Sean Hawkins. That's a good way to go. Let's see here. Yep, we're gonna see Brian's video. Oh, who was this? Somebody did a fish video. Blood always finds its level. Ooh, I can't forget. I can't remember his Discord name, but we'll figure that out. And then who knows what else? Oh, airplane versus ISS altitude. Take a look at that. That's kind of interesting. And some other shit. So that's it. That's the agenda tonight. And hopefully it goes uphill from here. We'll see. Let's go see what's going on in Discord. What's going on?
Hello.
Hello. We've got
Brandon.
Citation Needed, Ellen of Cyrene, Farming Ganja, Gently's Channel, Geo, Jeremy, Phoenix Rising 86, Pope, Sin Cleanser. What's up, Sin Cleanser? Rob on the Level, Keen Essie, Montreal, Stu Unger, and The Real Bob Dole. What's up, guys?
What's up, Brandon?
Yo.
What up?
Yo.
Nothing much. Yeah, I didn't get any sleep last night. I was up all night thinking about the fucking Horizon, of all things. And I was so excited that I couldn't fucking sleep. Is that weird or what?
It's horizontal. What about it?
Horizons aren't that exciting.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, actually, Brenda. But yeah, what about him? I was thinking about, I'm trying to break down the, what is it called? The, fuck, man. What's that called? Shit. You know how we say that they hijacked perspective? I'm trying to break
Say
that
it
down
again.
mathematically, like I've been promising for a couple of years, and I think a couple things clicked into place for me. So I'm working on that, and nothing I can share yet. Hopefully it comes to something, but I think I'm on to a couple things. Those sneaky little bastards.
What
Anyway,
does that actually mean, hijacking perspective? Because I've heard it a lot, but
So what about the Horizon?
It's bullshit that Nathan says to try to distract.
Shut the fuck up.
That
What
got
did you say about the
Nathan unless you bring Nathan into it, Ellen.
That's literally what it means. It's just bullshit.
okay. Why do you say that, Brenda? I don't know why I asked
Because
that.
it's not related. Because it's not related to the curve tools that he's talking about, right?
How do you measure that curve?
What the fuck are you talking about?
The curve. So we have like Walter Breslin's and other tools where you can input some information into and get the amount hidden by the horizon.
Yeah,
Right?
optically, right?
And so that's
Optically,
just
right? Optically, right?
Hey,
what the fuck is that even supposed to mean? Optically.
She hasn't answered the
you see
question
it.
though. So what about these
That's
tools?
not
What the
I know
fuck do
it's
the
not
tools
Because
have to do with anything?
unrelated. It's unrelated to determining how much of something is hidden by the horizon. So it's a distraction.
No, it's not unrelated.
No, it's not.
I went to Metabunk the other day to check out his calculator. He's actually updated it, so he's got now, instead of having the physical radius value, he's got the apparent radius value. He's incorporated the 7/6R into it, so it's got a radius value. It starts from at like 4,600 miles.
that's actually quite nice. So he's updated it. to
sorry.
be more
What's
complete.
unrelated with the Horizon?
Perspective. She's saying perspective is unrelated.
Yeah.
Yeah, optics.
Well, yes.
just
How is that?
stupid.
What's the relationship?
You're an
Well,
idiot. That's the
come on,
relationship.
That's not a
You see
relationship,
it, right?
right?
So we're talking
How-
about
what does
optical
that have to-
observations, right? That these are based on these so-called
Are there
measurements that you take.
non-optical? Are there non-optical observations, Brandon?
So you're saying that these are
Are you
optical
retarded?
observations and
Repeat
are
that.
the way we
Say that to
see.
yourself again.
Hold on a minute. The way we see is dictated in large part by perspective. That's part of how we see, right?
Yeah. Do we see some
That's
way
kind of
other
important.
than through optically? Do we see some way other than optically?
No, I don't think so. Do we?
Yeah. So therefore, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, the idea is
What?
they took the natural limitation of your eyesight and turned that into curve.
What does that mean?
That means you can only see so far.
Stop
because of
sea
perspective,
lining.
right?
No, it's sea lining right now.
Yeah.
See,
She can't
so
possibly.
There's no wrong.
There's just no way
There's
she can
no-
possibly be in this community for this long and not know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
sea lining.
I'm
Sea
asking
lining,
you
sea
questions.
lining. No, you're not. You're not honest. You're
I'm
completely
asking you
dishonest.
questions
No.
that
That's what
behind
sea
the
lining.
presuppositions of
That's
your
what
questions.
sea lining is.
So you
You're
can
asking
spread out.
questions
You can
about
even-
which you have no
You're just
interest.
spiraling. You're just
No.
spiraling.
Even
No,
if she's sea
no,
lining,
you're
there's
just
no
sea
need to
lining.
get this angry. You can come.
I'm
down.
not angry.
These guys are very
So,
dishonest.
the
Some of
point
them are more
is-
in a tricky way than others.
What does
No, you're not honestly asking a question
So this
right
is just
now.
showing
I am
down
not
what
angry.
does an orthographic. What does an orthographic projection have to?
No one's talking about orthographic projections. I didn't say anything.
That's
about
what the side view is, dude. That's orthographic.
No one's talking about a side view. I never mentioned side view.
That's what
The
the
red herring fallacy.
stealing
Just
thing.
add the
is that
fallacies up. I
Nathan
think
talks
she did.
about all the time.
Yeah,
I
let's
think she
keep
did about
count.
3
Somebody keep
fallacies
count.
since she's been in here.
Does
By
anybody
the way,
have like 50 fingers?
even if Brenda is sea lining, I don't actually know how Globe Earthers did hijack perspective, because I've heard several explanations.
I had them
how
arguing me
things
that the horizon
happen
wasn't
on
Earth
the
curve
globe
one time.
I'm sorry, Jeremy,
That
but
was
I was
that was
actually
cute.
talking. So
This is
if
just
you have me
dishonest
if you
shit
have
that
me
they do.
muted and
For
you
real, it's
don't
not even
realize that I'm
stupidity.
talking,
I
then
mean,
you
some
need
of
to
it is,
actually
but
unmute me,
I think most of it
because
is
it's
just
going to be a shit show if you overtalk me
dishonest
like this,
scumbag
Jeremy.
shit.
Can we get some control on Jeremy, because he actually has me muted and
Oh, does he?
it creates a shit show.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jeremy, you got citation needed muted.
Who's that, Lori?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll unmute him for the show. He's
Yeah,
really not worth
you might
listening
want to
to.
check
All right.
those things before you
Yeah.
start the show so that it doesn't create a shit show. Just saying.
Oh, shut
Shut the
up.
fuck up.
Now you're fucking muted. Don't fucking tell me how to
I just
run the show
unmuted.
during the show.
I just unmuted him.
Good one, Brandon.
Fuck you.
So the question would be, what does perspective have to do with the physical obstruction by a curve?
Well, it's all related, right? How things look in relation to each other as we look out and we compare them against the horizon.
Sorry, did you say?
You've got to understand all of that in order to describe it mathematically. So I would say it's very
Did she say
related.
what is? Did she say what does the horizon have to do with physical obstruction?
I don't actually remember what she said.
Is that what you
I
said,
said-
Brenda?
No, I said, what does perspective?
No, it's not. Why are we entertaining this?
I don't know. I don't know.
What does
This is not an honest question.
what does perspective
Sea lioning.
to do-
Stop sea lioning. Stop sea lioning. You have no interest in this answer whatsoever.
what does perspective have to do with physical obstruction by the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, that is such a fucking loaded question. We're just
I'm
ignore that.
saying they're unrelated. I'm saying they're unrelated.
Okay. So I got something to share. Remember yesterday or was it Wednesday? We were talking about refraction of fish. I was looking for a video of fish refracting. Blood always finds its level. What is his name in Discord? A couple times. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Oh, the XO. Actually took a video of refracted fish. I thought it was kind of interesting because if you'll remember, we were talking about would we see the refracted moon and the real moon? And it is a good video of fish, but I'll skip to the end here where it gets to the point. All right. So now he waits for this fish to get over here. You can see the water up here. There's a fish. See the fish? There's two fish. Boom. You guys see that? Remember we were wondering if you saw two of them? I asked that the other night. I said, do you see two of them?
Yeah.
The refracted and the actual? Well, you do.
Are you sure that's not just two fish?
Right. Okay. So look.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Just real quick. No. Listen, Jeremy. Listen. If you can't see it, normally you don't watch the screen anyway. But what Brandon is showing is that in the side view of the tank, the fish are physically at the bottom of the tank, but the refracted image is at the top at the surface. So you see two different locations.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
One is where the fish actually is, and then the top one is the apparent position. But if we are going to accept their rhetoric of looking at a bent pencil in a glass of water as evidence of what happens in the air, then this is going to have to be ipso facto truth that we should see two moons.
Why would we see two moons?
So
Stop
this
me.
just
Stop
so the
lying,
audience
sea
knows
lioning.
what we're talking about. We're talking about this diagram that they pass around and use to try to explain the selenilion and the apparent versus actual sun position that they claim is taking place. And we were talking the other night about, okay, sun is rising. This is the actual position according to their model. This is the apparent position up here. And the question was asked, would we see when do we go back to just having one sun? Meaning, do we see two suns? Would this lead us to seeing both of them, the apparent and the actual, at the same time? And it's inconclusive in my opinion, to be honest.
It's conclusive. We would never see two suns.
Well,
Also,
we see
the
two
speed-
fish. See this right here? This is kind of a observation that we've brought up to discuss. Yeah, so we
do.
see two fish.
That's not the same environment that we live in.
Hold on, stop.
So we're dismissing.
No, hold on. You just said the other day that the reason why we don't see two images is because of the example of a bent pencil in water. So and then I said that was a false equivocation, but then you fought for that.
This is that dishonest shit I was talking about. Remember?
This is bullshit. Why do we allow these kinds of things to speak on these panels? They are disingenuous.
Well, you're not understanding how refraction works isn't my problem.
And you're creating a false accusation against me is not valid.
Right.
Simply saying that I don't understand what your model
That's
dictates
true. That's
doesn't
true.
mean that what's true. What's true?
You don't understand.
No.
simple
That's
physics.
not what I said. No. That's not what I said. That's
Yeah,
not
you're
what
just
I
being
said.
totally dishonest,
You
Brendan.
just literally said you don't understand it.
No, I was repeating what you said about me, and then you said that's true. That's true. And I wasn't even finished making
It's
my
true.
statement.
You don't understand refraction.
You're talking nonsense. Shut up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the going opinion right now, Brenda, is that you're full of shit and
I
really
don't
not
care.
worth talking to if you keep saying shit like this. To be honest.
I'll just explain it to you.
Well,
There's nothing
okay,
to explain,
here.
Brenda. You've got no
Explain it in the
explanation.
framing that we brought it up. Okay? Why do
Well,
we
let me
see
just-
two fish right now?
Because you are in the air looking at the refraction at the surface, and in addition, looking at the refracted position of the fish at the bottom of the tank. That's
All
why.
right, so she's willing to dismiss anything that that replicates refraction if it's not in the medium that we live in. No,
This is
So
not
if
comparable
it's
to your
outside of a
situation
fish tank
standing
or
on
a
the
tank of
earth.
water or another medium looking into another medium, then we can't use that to set the principles of refraction according to what you're saying.
If there was a medium boundary between you and observing the moon, you would see a reflection of the moon at the surface, like you're seeing the reflection of the fish at the surface, in addition to the refracted image that would be lower down. But we
are
don't.
you dismissing all refraction tests in a fish tank?
No, I'm saying
Okay,
that
so
you
that was your reason for dismissing this instantly.
no, that was not
Yeah,
the
what
reason.
you said. That's what you said.
No, I said it's due to the fact that you're in the
All we are
different
going
medium.
to get is double speak right now. All we are going to get is double speak. Are you guys interested in having this
This
conversation?
is just you not understanding the fact that the camera is
No,
in
this
the water.
is you double speaking. This is you double speaking.
Not all refraction conditions are the same, Travis. There are lots of different refraction conditions you could make up in scenarios, and this one is not equivalent to looking through the atmosphere.
Neither is looking at a bent pencil in a glass of water.
Yes, it is. That is the situation. That
Okay,
is what
so
happens when we're standing.
Oh my
We're
God.
doing
That's
it
a
again. We're
different
doing
situation.
it again. Why are we doing this?
The sundog's
Because
in the
you
air.
don't understand refraction.
Yeah.
We understand your
Glean,
double
that's a good point. Don't feed it. Don't feed her. Don't feed her.
It is slightly. I mean, Brent, I think
Clean.
you have to say it is slightly different to the situation looking at the atmosphere, where you
Eater.
are in the medium.
Well, sure
I mean,
enough,
what you're doing is
sure.
you're setting the point of what can happen between the difference between where the object is and what you see. Because obviously, what you see is what you see. You don't see things. They might be in a particular. It's like looking in a mirror. When you look through a mirror, you see the reflection. The object is not where it appears to be in the mirror. You see what the light does. So I don't understand why you're so confused. I mean, it
Not
amazes me you're confused by this concept of being on
Rumpus.
C2.
We're not confused.
Well,
now
you
you're
are. You're
sounding
claiming
like
there are
Brenda
two
right off the bat.
You're
Now we're getting-
claiming
now we're
that you would
getting
see two.
gaslighted.
Travis is saying you would see two suns in the scenario described in that diagram. It's utterly ridiculous.
Okay, so you said that we'll see the object where it is, and we'll see the reflection.
No, I
just
didn't
like
say
a
that.
mirror.
No, I didn't say that.
So
No,
in
I
a
didn't say
mirror, when
that.
you look at a mirror from an angle, you see two objects, don't you? You see the apparent one, which is the
Well, if you
reflection,
can't see the
and the
original-
actual object. Is that correct?
Well, if it's behind you, you only see what's in the mirror. And when you're looking through a medium, when you're looking through, say, a glass of water or an aquarium, or you're in an aquarium, you only see
Talk them up for one.
the thing that the light gives you. You can't tell where the actual thing is. You could have, if you had a really wacky
We're talking about a
medium-
situation. Hold on, don't gish gallop.
now.
Don't gish gallop. We're talking about a
Okay.
situation where we're standing on Earth, such as in your diagram, which is right here. Not your personally your diagram, but I'm sure you
Yeah, okay,
adhere to
look
this.
at it.
Where there is during sunrise an actual position of the sun according to your model, and an apparent position of the sun. So the observers here looking
Yeah, but the
out at
apparent
the
position-
object,
Right, okay.
right through
But
a medium.
You do understand.
The sun's not behind them, and they're looking in a mirror.
Right. Right. Now, if we were to draw what was actually there, you'd only have one sun, wouldn't you? You'd have it in its real position. The apparent position is something that the human eye is extrapolating out to, because the human eye
You
assumes. No,
cannot
let me finish my
prove
sentence.
this.
Can I just
You
finish my
cannot
sentence?
prove this.
Can I just finish my sentence?
This
The
is
human
just
eye.
an
Can I just
explanation.
finish my sentence? The
Just an
human eye extrapolates out as a straight line from what it receives. So if the light comes in as a bent path, it will extrapolate out as a straight one. Okay, and that's
So is that
what
what's
you
happening with
perceive
these
as being.
fish then? How
Right, here we have
it's
obviously a
our eye
complicated
interpreting
scenario.
what we see. I mean, what are you saying? We've got light coming
Right.
from up here. We've got light coming from down
There
here,
are two
right?
ways the light can get. The two ways the light of that goldfish can get to the human eye, just like a mirage. In a mirage, there are two paths by which an object, part of an object, can get to your eye. That's why you see it duplicated. So this is just
so
another.
that's what I'm asking. That's why we're discussing this, because we do see
Okay.
a duplication here, correct?
Right, we do indeed.
Okay.
But the situation, as Brenda said, this is not equivalent to what is happening where we're sitting in the medium. That diagram you've got, we're sitting inside the atmosphere, and there's only one medium change, and that is we know that light bends towards the Earth. That's what light will do because.
You can stop with all that shit. So we've got
No, we don't.
a one medium change here. We go from air to water, right?
Sounds like Rumpus is ready to dismiss all refraction tests that happen in a fish tank
Well,
as
no,
well
you
as
just have to
Brenda.
accept that this is not synonymous. This is not equivalent to what's going on in the diagram you've drawn.
Well, you
That's
haven't
what
given
we
us
say
a
about
compelling reason. That's what we're looking for. That's why I brought it up.
Well, you've got two different boundaries here, haven't you? You've got a boundary that's facing us and another boundary, horizontal one. So the light from the goldfish can get to us two different ways, like in a mirage. But that's not the situation in your diagram. It's a very different. I mean,
Isn't
I could
it?
make up lots
Because
of
we've
mirrors.
got
I mean,
an
I could
atmosphere
have
over
lots
here.
of. I could have lots of refractive surfaces in an aquarium, and you could see 27 fish. But
We've
that's
got-
not the same scenarios you're describing here.
Well, we've got okay, here's the Earth. We're standing up here. The sun is way over there. So according to you, the light is coming through this atmosphere. Isn't it coming?
bending
It would
down.
be hitting here. Some of the light would be hitting here, hitting up here.
Yeah, but
so
we
it
only
looks like
see,
it's
like, you know,
hitting
it's only
two
got-
surfaces.
there's only
Those
one
surfaces
path.
are all not one flat surface, are they?
Yeah, but there's only one path that's going to get to you, and that will
Really?
be bent by the atmosphere.
Oh, so light can only get to you via one path. Is that what you're claiming now?
Well, if you have a uniform, you can. I mean, think like a mirage in the atmosphere. You can have inverted refraction conditions, which mean there are two ways it can get to you. But in the normal case like this, if we say the atmosphere is more dense at the bottom than it is at the top, and it's uniform, there's only one way the light will get to you. But as I say, the atmosphere can do wacky things, and in mirage cases, there are two ways. But
How
if we
can
take
you
the
have-
atmosphere as behaving normally, it'll only be one way to get to your eye.
How can you have a uniform medium when it's dense on the bottom and less dense on the top? That's not uniform.
Well, okay, the density, there's a
Yeah,
uniform
get outta
density
here.
gradient.
Get the
There's a
fuck outta
density gradient, you moron. It's quite simple.
Let me read this.
In other words, the density uniformly gets less. It doesn't go less, and then more, and then less, and then more. It uniformly, as almost like a straight line, goes upwards and becomes less dense.
Hey,
Now, when you have a
what is
mirage,
it that
when you
radio
have a
waves are
mirage,
said to bounce off of?
it does change. That's what causes a mirage. It does a zigzag. Go ahead.
What are radio waves said to bounce off? I can't remember the blank sphere.
Ionosphere, I think. Yeah, and that's
Ionosphere.
caused by
Ionosphere.
right the ionosphere. When the ionosphere,
Yeah, tell us about the ionosphere and how it blocks radio waves that doesn't interfere with the light.
The atmosphere does change dependent on what the sun is doing.
That's a good point, Brandon. He's not going to address it though.
I am going to address it exactly. Just give me a moment.
That was a good point, though. Think about it for a minute before you just
I'm
go
about to
forward.
answer, but I'm not being allowed to. The atmosphere,
Oh, yeah, you are, man.
sunlight.
Damn,
Oh
dude.
my
Calm
God.
down. Calm
Jesus
down,
Christ.
dude.
Well, stop interrupting me while I'm in the middle of an
Brian.
answer.
He's trying to
Jesus
answer. You
Christ.
guys keep interrupting.
Right, every 4 words you interrupt me. So the atmosphere has incident on it the solar wind, and that causes it to be ionized in places, which means that it changes when it goes into the dark. The reflection you're talking about of radio waves only occurs at night. And that's because the structure of the atmosphere changes during the day and during the night. Every day and night, there's an ionization layer or not, depending on whether the sun's
does
there.
the atmosphere does it ionize during sunrise when there's light hitting it?
Hold on.
I didn't hear you. Someone's over talking you. I didn't hear.
Okay, my question is, Rumpus, do you know whether or not Marconi tested his radio waves at night or in the daytime?
I don't know, but he didn't know anything about the ionosphere. He didn't know that
Apparently
this
you
was going
do.
on.
So it's
He didn't
up to
know.
you.
Okay, so he didn't know. So if he did it in the daytime, but he didn't know the ionosphere was there, it just happened to work, even though
Correct.
This is such
Exactly.
bullshit.
He was
You
lucky,
just
you
said-
moron.
you
He was
just
lucky.
said-
He was lucky. Jesus
He was
Christ.
lucky.
He didn't know how the atmosphere worked. He was
Listen,
very, very lucky, but he didn't understand what was going
listen
on.
very carefully.
He just knew that
Listen
sometimes
very-
it worked and sometimes it didn't.
Listen
Dude.
very carefully. You just said the ionosphere doesn't work in the daytime.
Well, I don't know what you can get ducting. There's all sorts of wacky things can happen with the ionization of.
It's all unfalsifiable. You fuck.
No, it's not. We know we can measure the ionosphere. We can test it.
Everything. There's always an escape clause for you. Oh,
The atmosphere is. You've got this simplistic view that everything is really easy and simple. The atmosphere is incredibly complicated. You can get ducts and things, so you can hear. For instance, George Natayuk can more clearly hear due to reflection of. He can hear Chicago radio more clearly.
We'll hear more about Chicago radio and Georgia's reception in a minute. Kango24, New Zealand $5. Brenda is correct. You guys have not got a clue about refraction. Brenda, why do you put yourself through this? Wow, Kango, that is some powerful delusion, man. Powerful. Bravo.
On our atmosphere.
Hey, Rumpus, let me ask Rumpus a question real quick.
So another,
Rumpus,
you
if
don't
I had
understand.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. We know he doesn't understand. He's a science denier.
Rumpus,
Just
let me ask you a
doesn't
question real quick.
understand.
Hey, if I took it 350 foot up, I'm trying to do an experiment, right? So I go 350 miles high, and I put a real super bright light, and then 350 miles above the Earth, about a few miles away, about probably 20 miles away, I put another light. I string them out halfway around the equator, okay?
So they're all the same
350 miles
elevation.
high.
Sorry,
Yeah.
they're all the same elevation.
Yeah, they're spanned halfway around the Earth. And my local vicinity, am I going to see
I'm just trying to understand you, Brian. Hold on. So they're all the same elevation, but they're separated by 20 miles around the ring-rang the equator. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right,
And it
got it,
spans
okay.
for about halfway around the equator. So am I going to, is that going to reflect the curve of the Earth? Yeah. Is that going to reflect the curve of the Earth?
Well, if they're all the same elevation, yes.
Okay, well, I just did a video posting a 700-mile span of Starlink, all at 340 miles, and it's flat as a pancake, baby.
You got them in a straight line? They going in a straight line, Brian?
A dead straight line. Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, but they're
bro,
not in
that hurts.
position when they're launched. They're not
They're
in
in the
position.
sky.
when
They're
they're-
established. This is the second phase.
I bet you've got this wrong. When they launch them, they're not in position, and therefore they're not reflecting the curvature of the Earth, and then only when they're in position will they do that.
Oh,
This
my
is
God.
they had these
Well,
things
then
that
the
all
second
You've got
phase,
this
Rumpus.
wrong, Brian, I'm afraid.
How the fuck would you
Rumpus,
know if
as
they're
far as
in
your
position or
positioning,
not,
this is-
Rumpus?
Because I know that Brian doesn't consider all the
No,
factors.
no,
and I know
Rumpus.
that
That's
they
an
have to
ad
go in
hoc
position.
explanation. You
There's
have
a
no
launch
fucking
phase,
clue whether they're in position or not.
Because I know if they were in position, they
You
would
know
affect
how
the
to make
curvature of
up
the Earth.
wild shit, bro. That's all you
Rumpus,
know.
wait. What kind of position would they have to form an exact straight line across the 700 miles?
Well, how do you know they? For a start, how do you know they're going across 700 miles?
Because that's how far they're spanning right now. I think they're up to 1,000 miles, but I just said 700 to be
Well,
fair
hold
to
on.
you.
What? Right, but was this part of the launch process, or are you saying they're now in position at 700 miles apart?
Well, after phase 2, it's 600 to 700 miles they span. Okay, and they're probably done with phase 3, so that's between 900 and 1,000
Probably.
miles.
So you don't know.
Phase 1. I'm pretty sure it's already done with phase 3.
You're pretty sure.
Phase 1. Hold on. Worst case scenario was phase 1, 3 to 400 miles. The worst case scenario is phase 1, which was 300 to 400 miles. Pretty sure that it's already past phase 3
You're pretty
and
sure.
1,000 miles. But I'm being fair to you.
We say that all the time.
I'm afraid I don't think you know enough about what's going on here.
Okay,
Why
hold
don't
on,
you
just real
establish
quick.
exactly what's going on, and then so you're saying you've got a picture of them, a series of them, with covering
I got a
700 miles. Is that what you're
No,
claiming?
I got them going overhead, horizontal, in a dead straight line, and it's spanning between 600 and 700 miles. Their claim.
Well, hold on. When you say they're dead, so they're dead overhead. If they're going across along the equator, of course,
They're not dead overhead, Rumpus. They're spanning horizontal off in the distance. They're not dead overhead.
For instance, there are parts.
Let me tell you my question at least. My
Okay,
question is,
let me quickly say that if they were going along the equator and they would look like they're going in a straight line, even though they're following the curve, they would just simply dip down.
what shape would they have to be in, okay, to be 45 degrees on my horizon, 45 degrees, and going in a dead straight line? What shape would they have to be in to give me an apparent 700-mile straight line?
So you're saying that you're very near the equator, aren't you? So, you're near the Tropic of.
Brandon, I'm gonna post the video if you can play it with
I'm playing the
silence.
video.
You're close to being 25 degrees C, aren't 25 degrees latitude, aren't you?
I'm about 30. In fact, I'm right at 30 degrees.
Oh, right, you're up. Okay, you're a bit further up north in Florida. Okay, right. So you're at 30 degrees latitude, and you are looking north or south or east or west. Which way are you looking here?
West.
So what's the claim being made about these starlings?
The claim being made is it's a 700-foot. That's a dead straight line, okay, and it's almost horizontal. It's moving off in the distance a little bit, but it's a dead straight line from beginning
When you
to
say
end,
horizontal,
which I think is 1,000 miles. But
700 miles.
What do you mean by horizontal? Are you saying it's in line with the horizon? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, why don't you watch it real quick?
Okay, but you just said they were horizontal, and I don't
Give it a
understand what
look.
that means.
Rumpus, he doesn't understand
It means
3D.
they are stop gaslighting. Stop gaslighting. It means that they are in a straight line. They are on a horizontal.
Well, he said they were
plane.
horizontal. That's different
with
to being in a
each
straight
other.
line.
With each other.
But that's not
No,
horizontal.
they don't understand
Yes, it is.
3D. You don't
Stop
understand
gaslighting.
3D.
No, I'm not.
I
You said they were
understand what a dead
horizontal.
straight line is.
Okay, so you're not
I
saying they're
understand what a
horizontal.
dead straight line is.
I understand that. So you
Nobody-
didn't need to say horizontal then. You just mean they're in a straight line. Okay.
Well, let me just say it like this: if they were going away from me, it would appear to be vertical, right? Wouldn't it give if it was going
Well, it depends
exactly
on the
away from me?
direction.
If it was coming right at me, it would appear vertical, right? It would appear to be getting higher, right?
Well, if they were
Well,
coming
these are-
directly at you, it would be just one point. It'd all be
Okay,
coming
well,
in-
let me
almost
give you
like
the
one
scenario.
point.
These are pretty horizontal, but I'm just going to
What do you mean by
describe it as a straight
horizontal?
line. So
What do you mean by
I'm gonna just-
horizontal? Do you
They're
just
not
mean a
even
straight line?
horizontal. They're not even horizontal
Okay.
in the video.
well, I'm
You
going to
don't mean
describe it as
horizontal, do you?
I'm
You
going to
just mean on a
describe it as a
straight line.
700-mile dead straight line. How about that?
Right, okay, well, stop saying horizontal, Brian. You're confusing me. So you just mean
Well,
they're in a straight
at
line.
first,
Okay.
You were
before you
confused
heard my
before.
claim, you said that it would reflect the curvature of Earth. Now
Yes,
it's not.
They were curved, that's right, but that's different from horizontal. We've got to make sure we're not talking about straight lines or horizontal, because if you tell them horizontal, that means you're on a particular angle. So, okay, if you just mean they're straight line, okay, let's deal with that.
I'm getting confused.
He's-
Am I correct by saying that if you expecting that if the satellites are following the curvature of the Earth and they're in a line, we should be able to see curvature under?
No,
right?
you wouldn't necessarily be able to see.
I
the Earth.
didn't say Brenda. I was saying Brent. Brian.
It's just like
Shut
like
up,
the,
Brenda.
it's just like the Lake Pontchartrain.
Well, let me finish my claim, dude.
Panic
You know
spiral.
what? Never mind.
No,
Brenda,
Carlos,
let me finish
did
my
you
claim
have
real quick.
a question? I mean, we can be quiet for a minute and let you finish it. What was your question?
Well, Brenda or
For
me?
me,
Oh, Brenda
my
answered
claim
for
was
you?
I was going to finish. Yeah, I was going to finish my claim and say that over 700 miles, we would expect a little over between 60 and 70 foot of drop, which is about 1/5 of the actual elevation of the satellites themselves, which would be easily visible no matter what direction it was going in.
But these
That
things are
seems
not-
like that
how
would
far are you-
necessitate seeing a curve, unless the Earth's not curved.
Yeah, there's not 700 miles between the. I mean, if we're referring to what we're seeing on screen here, those things are not 700 miles apart. When the
Rumpus, hold on, Rumpus. The ISS is only 250 miles up, and we see 2,400 mile radius with just one item. You're going to tell me that ain't spanning 700 miles? It's further than that. I'm just giving you that as a benefit of the doubt. It's supposed
Right,
to
I
be,
mean, when you see the ISS, yeah, I mean,
phase three now at 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're absolutely correct. The ISS, from when you first sit on one side, I mean, it's doing its 6-minute visibility, it's maximum. I think it covers, I think you're right, about 2,000 miles from one end to
Because
the
there's
other.
only one ISS, right? Since there's only one ISS, we can hardly debate you, except for the fact it doesn't change in angular size like you say it should.
Let's not change
But,
the subject, Brian. You're skipping around.
Yeah. So the fact is, it's multiple objects, and they should be representing a curved Earth, especially over a span that massive.
Right. I
You
mean,
would
Brian's
think a
making a relevant point about the ISS.
700-foot-long curve would look like a
700
curve. I think
miles.
that's Brian's point.
Miles.
700 miles. So tell us
Brandon,
why
this is-
something that's
Brandon.
curved doesn't look curved.
Well, it depends what angle you're looking at it
and-
through. If it was following a
Yes.
great circle and this is directly above you, it would look like a straight line.
Oh, perspective matters. Brenda was just
Yeah.
saying it didn't. Has nothing to do with any of this curvy business.
I'm saying that you wouldn't see the curvature for the same reasons you don't see the curvature in the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge when viewed from the side. You're viewing the string of satellites from the side, and so the curvature is not in a direction that would be detectable by your eye.
Brandon, this is
Never
just
is.
like that. Brandon, this is just like that thing we wanted to do where we wanted to make a chord and then a curved line and see what we saw. Remember, we said,
Yeah.
oh, you know,
If you have a pool cue that's bent and you look at it from the side, you won't detect the bend in the pool cue. If you look at it from end to end, you will see it.
Bullshit.
Yeah, good point, Jeremy. Good point, Jeremy. So much for our little 5 or 10 mile test with a 60-foot hump in the middle. We can't see curve with a 60-mile hump in the middle over 700 miles. So it's just just always going to appear flat. I was going to demonstrate it and show us flat, but it's actually curved.
F.E.
Whatever.
Slayer just posted pictures that demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about.
We don't need to
and
see that
exactly what you're
fucking
not seeing.
demonstration
F.E.
again. Let me
Slayer.
tell you something.
F.E. Slayer.
This
look
is
at
just
the
another
pictures
example
F.E. Slayer
of
posted.
where
Just
we
look at the
expect to see a
pictures.
curve where there's no
F.E.
fucking
Slayer
curve.
posted.
There's
It's
no
what
curve
we're
to be
talking
seen,
about.
Brenda.
Look at
Anywhere.
the pictures posted
There's
by
no
F.E.
curve
Slayer.
anywhere. We can never find it. You
Can I
got
say
fucking
something?
no curve.
All right. So
Yeah, but if you look at a curve edge on Brandon, you wouldn't expect to
Oh
see
my
it.
goodness. Hey, Brandon. Not Brandon. Brian. Is it Brian Leakey? Yeah.
Yes, Brian Leakey. Yeah, he's the one who's
Brian.
making.
I think what one way you can think about it is this: if you put a hula hoop around your head, like if you stick your head in the center of a hula hoop, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. You're not really going to see the curvature of the hula hoop.
Yeah. That's it. Well, that's what I was asking for. I was asking him for a scenario of how it could look
on the
straight.
side
So
of
let me.
it. Hold on,
Are you
hold on,
telling me
hold on.
that them things are
Hold on.
in a ring?
Perspective.
He's not on the
No,
side
wait,
of the hula hoop, though. That's a totally different scenario than what he's viewing.
Yeah, them things are
Right,
following
right.
the leader, dude. They're not in a hula hoop shape. They're following the leader.
That is the shape they're in. They're following a hula hoop.
It's not the
Yeah,
same
but the
scenario.
hula
But
hoop-
He's not
What
looking
is
at
it?
a hula hoop from the side. He's looking at it from a
he's
different
not-
angle than
he's-
that. Well,
these
he's
guys-
looking at
these
it from a
guys
different
are
angle than
top-
the side view of a hula hoop.
These
It's
guys
fucking
are
stupid.
top-notch false equivalency.
Yeah, look at the side of the hula hoop.
I
Look
said
at
it.
that
Hey,
big curve.
Willie, I say it's not the same scenario. It's a similar scenario. It's harder to see it when
But
you're
similar
inside
doesn't
the path
count
of the
either.
orbit.
Similar does not
Okay,
count either.
look, I'm trying to look. I didn't say. I'm just trying to help, trying to give a different
It
perspective.
doesn't help when it's not similar
Okay,
or the same.
all right, just keep talking over me then. Thank you.
I will. If it's
Yeah,
not the
I know.
same, if it's not the same and it's not similar, shut the fuck up.
Cool.
You are right, though, Carlos. You are right. If
Yeah.
you had a hula hoop and you were sat in it and it was in between your legs and going above your head, it would look like a straight line. But that's
I would
clearly
agree with
not
that
this.
too.
Yeah, it's
But if
like
I
you've got
took,
the hula hoop
700 miles of airplanes that
on
would
your head.
play
Hold on, Brian.
Gleam. If I took airplanes and
Like a
followed the
sombrero.
leader with them,
Brian.
like a 700-mile span.
Brian.
Yeah, good.
Gleam wasn't done.
Yeah, it was just saying like you had a hula hoop on your head like a sombrero. This is what that's like.
Yep.
This is what
Yeah.
Rumpus has just explained.
Yeah,
and
if you had
Brenda's
a
just
if you
explained.
had a sombrero or a hula hoop around your head, like the edge of a hat, you would not see the.
But if
You
you had a
sure?
sombrero, it would be cultural appropriation because only I can wear that. But anyway.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know Satlink was shaped like a sombrero. I'm sorry. Let me. I see what Gleam is
What do you
saying. I
think
see
an
what Carlos
orbit
saying.
is? What do you think
Hold
an
on, let me
orbit
respond real
is?
quick, Brandon. Brendan, let me respond
He's
real quick,
not-
please. Okay. Well, in the orbit, whatever. If I took let's say follow the leader path of jets, and I strung them out 700 miles going sideways, okay, to my vision. Okay, not going straight away from me, not coming straight toward me, but just going from side to side in my vision. And I span them out 700 miles at the same altitude. Wouldn't that reflect the Earth's curvature? Since they're all the same, basically distance, you know?
It would, but you
It
wouldn't.
should,
what
but
angle-
it wouldn't be as apparent.
Brian, what angle did you say these? You're at 30 degrees, and what angle were these?
Yeah,
things
they're going away from me slightly, okay? They're going away from me slightly, but that's the best I could do.
What
side to
angle
side.
above the horizon are they?
About 35, 45 degrees.
Right.
So
Was
not
this looking-
equivalent
was this
to
looking
looking at
south
the
or
side.
north?
Not equivalent to looking at the side of a hula hoop.
He said looking west.
Looking
Yeah,
west.
looking like it's like northwest, west northwest.
Right. Yeah, we'd really need to see which orbit is, because this is following a great circle, and in effect it's going over your, like I was saying earlier, looking at an orbit edge on, then you wouldn't see much curve, because obviously the way you'd see most curve is if you could get out into space and then see it from the, out in space seeing it. If you're underneath it and then looking sort of along the line, if you're in the plane of the orbit, then you wouldn't see.
That doesn't make
anything.
any
Well, let me
sense
finish
at
all
all.
of this.
That doesn't. Hold on. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yes,
None.
it does.
Let me finish my
No,
point with a question.
you are
Rufus, what
offset
can I
from
do to
this
see the
string
curve?
of. You're offset from this string of satellites. What does it matter if you're under it or you're above it?
If you're looking effectively, if you were looking along the plane of the orbit, you would not see any curvature.
What do you
at
mean
all. Now,
along the plane of the orbit?
Right. Imagine this, the plane. We've got an orbit, which is a ring, a hula hoop, whatever you want to call it. And then imagine you are the plane that forms. If you are on that plane, you would not see, as Brenda was saying with a hat, you are looking along the plane,
you're
and they're
looking
all
at 0
active. But I don't think that's the case. I
Listen.
wouldn't. Oh, jeez. But I don't think that's quite the case
no,
here.
that doesn't
because,
work. That doesn't
bloody
work.
hell.
It would. I gotta finish this with this. It would exaggerate.
Exactly.
Okay, if you look at that video, it would exaggerate the arc of them satellites because the ones to the far right would be further away, hence lower. The ones to the far left would be
No,
farther away,
they'd
hence
always
lower.
point sources.
So
No,
the
Brian, they'd
curvature
always
of the
point
Earth
sources.
should be exaggerated. The
Brian,
curvature
they're all-
of the Earth should be exaggerated due to perspective. Thank you.
Actually, you are correct in saying that if they were at regular intervals, then yes, I mean perspective, etc., as well as the curvature, would cause them to bunch up when they were further away. Is that what you're saying? Because they're not obviously, they're clearly not in
Correct
correct
that.
position because
That's
they're
not
not
what he was
evenly
saying.
spaced here,
That's
are
not
they?
what
So
he was saying.
they're clearly not.
That's
We can't go by the spacing
not-
here because they're clearly not in position properly. This is
That's
clearly
not.
some earlier phase.
That's not what he was saying.
Not forgetting they're 340 miles away, so the circumference of that would be a lot more curvature than what we're expecting anyway.
They're 340 miles high, are they?
Yeah.
That's their orbital elevation.
Okay,
Yeah,
listen,
340.
listen, real quick. When Rumpus says looking down the plane of the orbit, he's talking about looking straight ahead of you.
What?
Okay, if you okay, there's
No, that's not what it means.
there's no other meaning. A plane.
You're
is
just
something-
not understanding. You're
Okay,
just
The
not-
orbit
stop
forms a
gaslighting,
plane.
stop gaslighting. Okay,
The
then go
orbit
back.
forms a plane.
Okay, what do you mean by plane?
Right. A plane is just a two-dimensional flat, straight 2D surface. They ring. In fact, if you had a ring, a hula hoop, and you placed that
Like a flat
forms a
Earth.
plane.
Like a
The
flat
ring-
Earth. So
In
it's
other
like a
words,
flat
a
Earth.
curve
A ring
without
There's
level,
a plane
right?
associated with a
Hey,
ring.
listen, the only way you don't see the curve of the ring if it's flat and in front of you. The minute you change the angle of that ring, you are no longer looking at a plane, you fuck.
Oh,
No,
you
it's
twat.
still a
Look,
plane. It's
All
still
right, here we go. This diagram that
Correct.
I think Brandon's showing a diagram on the screen here. If you see that this yellow orangey plane here, if you were on this black line where it says equator and you were looking from the equator and the plane of the ring of the orbit of the thing was in that yellow orangey plane and you were on that black line where it says equator, they would all be perfectly straight. You'd be effectively looking along the line of a hat or a hula hoop. If you had a hula hoop at your eye level and you held it horizontal and you looked along it, everything would look in a straight line. So it all depends on the perspective. Now, I don't think it's quite going to be true what I said, because Brian just said that he was looking. He's at 30 degrees. Oh.
We need someone. We
Hey,
need
wait a
someone
minute.
to
My
either.
hat is 340 degrees above my head, right?
We need someone to either agree or disagree with Rumpus besides me. Okay, does anybody agree on the panel, who's a flat earther, with what Rumpus just said about the orangey plane and the black line? Does anyone?
Maybe if we were 340 miles up in the air. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
No, imagine you on the black line.
40 miles up in the air, then
Okay,
I could
Imagine on that diagram that Brandon's got, you on the black line which has equator, and the things were revolving around on the orangey yellow plane. It would look like a straight line.
So, Rumpus,
I
do
don't-
you agree?
I don't think so.
Do you agree, Rumpus? Do you agree that at that moment, then Brian was at the right spot to see that line?
No, I think
without
probably
curvature?
not. No, I think it's not going to be that lucky. So I don't think I'm going to.
Can I
I'm
make
not
a
going to
point
claim
about
that is
this
it.
plane
Oh,
of the
Jesus
ecliptic
Christ.
claim that you're making? If we can't see it from 340 miles up above us, if we wouldn't see this thing curve from the ground, why would we see the ground curve if we were 340 miles looking down along that plane? Are you saying that if we're looking down at the ground along that plane, we wouldn't see the curve of the ground?
Well, they would be in a straight line, but they would dip at the ends. So if you were in this diagram you were on that black line where it says equator, and the things were going around.
No, but we see in 3D
my
we have depth perception, right?
No, we don't. We see in 2D. That's what perspective means. Our eyes can only see in 2D. We interpret the 3D.
Exactly. Hey, so Rumpus,
okay.
you would agree that the ones to the far right would perspective dictate they would be lower? The ones
They
to the
would
far
dip
left and the
down, but
far
they could
right
still be in a
would be
straight
lower,
line.
right?
But it would depend. I mean, they could dip down, but they could all be in a straight line. But when I say dip down, I mean they could bend, but they could still form a straight line. Now, but I say that would be very
you
lucky.
have to be in the right position, Brian.
Yeah,
But
so
I
in
don't
other
think-
words,
I'm not
look,
gonna
it's
claim
fine.
that
It's
point you
fine.
are
Just-
I'm not going to
Listen,
claim
his
that that's the
subconscious
situation.
knows.
Oh, Jesus
His
Christ.
subconscious knows that it should be a exaggerated curve, and his subconscious knows that. Let him catch up. And
Brian,
Right, I'm not.
Brian,
gonna
let me say this.
Bloody, I'm going to give up.
Go ahead, Rumpus.
All
My
right,
bad.
I'm not going to claim that
go
that's
ahead, give
exactly the
up.
situation here, because that would be just too lucky. So in other words, although I'm saying you could see it as a straight line if you're on the equator and
Yeah,
the
so now
plane of the. Oh
Marconi-
my God,
Marconi
Travis,
was
you're
lucky
just a
and
rude
Brian
wanker.
was
You
lucky.
really are. You just never.
It's
I
just
don't.
how
I
much
don't
luck?
interrupt you, but you
How
seem to
much
feel
luck?
you're allowed to interrupt
That's because
anybody
you say
if they're
the
speaking
stupidest
forward. You
things.
don't disagree with them.
You say the
I and other
most
people allow
utterly
you to speak and
stupid
make your
things.
point, but you don't seem to have the manners to allow
Brian
other
was
people
just
even to not
utterly
finish
lucky.
All right,
more
come
than a
on,
few
come on.
words of a
Tony
sentence.
was
You're a
just
little
utterly
wanker,
lucky.
you are. You really are. You're just a rude wanker.
And I'm a big wanker.
You're just a
Well,
little
more
All
like
right.
a tosser. More like a
Rothers,
tosser. than a
finish
wanker.
your thought.
Right, I was just saying that if we were on that black line, the equator, and the things were moving in that orange-yellow plane, they would look like they're in a straight line. But I'm not going to claim that's the situation with Brian. He said he saw it at 30 degrees west, and he's at 30 degrees. So it would be incredibly lucky for that to be the case. But it could be close to something like that. I must admit, I'd have to go away and see what the orbits are to get this effect. I can't give you an exact explanation, but I suspect it's going to be a simple geometrical answer for it.
Brian,
Very simple, everyone.
listen,
To do
whatever he
with
comes back
perspective.
with,
Yeah.
trust me, it's going to be unfalsifiable.
No, it isn't.
100% sure. Whatever he comes back with.
Everything I tell you is going to be falsifiable. Everything I tell you, Cameron.
All right, I'll be surprised, but okay.
Okay, just real quick, Brian. You're the kind of guy that would do this. Model this out. Model this out. Get a model and create 3 different points above that globe model, because we all know that elevation is equal.
How about you model it and show
How
that
about
it
you shut the
fails?
fuck up? How about you
show
shut the
that
fuck up?
it
I wasn't
fails?
talking to you.
Show
I
that it
was not
fails to
talking
meet the
to
predictions
you.
by the globe.
I was not talking to you. Not only was I not talking to you, Brian cut in and it was broken. So this is very simple. If all of these satellites are at the same elevation above the Earth, they are all going to be equidistant from the surface. If you model this out, you will see a curve in the model. You will. We all know it.
Yes, there should be a curve. The problem is, are you going to be able to see it from the perspective, or where you're going to look at it on the Earth? That's the question.
I just said, model it out. So Brian will model out his position and model out the position of these satellites. We know there will be curvature seen. We know it.
Brian's going to model it. Someone's going to model it.
Brian,
I
might model it.
I was just throwing Brian under the bus because it's his example, and he is the kind of guy that does flat Earth tests.
Yeah,
Are you saying you've got footage like
Carlos,
this
you're
footage
robotic.
we're looking at? Carl, you're pretty bad. Carl, are you saying your footage is like the one we're looking at?
Yeah, I think it's still a little. Yeah.
So, Brian, is your footage like the one we're looking at? Is that what you're saying? Come in, Brian.
Is he still there?
I think if you held a ruler up to that line of satellites, they'd
Yeah, I
be
bet it does bend. Yeah, I mean, it could be this, but could be this people who've chosen a particular angle in which you get that effect, and it could be that Brian's footage, if he's got some, does not show this being in a perfect straight line, and actually shows it slightly bent.
Have you never seen a sunset time lapse in your life, or a moonset?
Yeah, you're asking me because we know that bends.
Search on Google. Search on Google.
You're changing the subject. We're talking about satellites.
I'm not, because it's a straight path.
You're changing the subject.
It's exactly the same as what you just said a minute ago.
The moon is a
Good
satellite.
point. Gleam?
Actually, I was going to bring that up earlier, but then I was going to say, well, the sun's obviously a lot further away.
Don't try and steal my idea, Rumpus, because remember, you were always right.
I am always right, and that's why I nearly. I mean, it is actually a valid point you're making, except that the sun is a lot further away, and these things.
You were not correct on your Marconi comment.
I'm what? Sorry, what was I not correct about?
You were not correct on your Marconi comment.
I was.
Marconi got lucky.
Weren't.
That comment.
I said that the atmospheric conditions, in terms of reflecting the atmosphere, change depending on whether it's light or day. So sometimes it works, sometimes it won't.
Listen.
If you think that's not the case, you're completely wrong.
Listen very carefully. You stated that during the daytime the ionosphere doesn't work. At nighttime is when you're going to get the bounce off. So then I asked you
Incorrect.
Hold on. Then I asked you when during the day did Marconi do his radio signal. Hold on. Based on what you said about how the ionosphere works, even if you didn't know when Marconi did it, you should have said at nighttime, because that's the only time The ionosphere works.
That was a great point when you made that.
Is actually ionized during the day. It's actually in the night. It's not actually ionized.
Works all the
Okay,
time.
so now are you now?
Well, when you say ionized,
Are
the
you-
reflective properties change, but it's ionized during the day.
Now?
He
I
did me
didn't
the
say
test at
anything.
night.
You're the
Oh,
one that
God.
said this. You're the
You
one
just-
that said this.
He
I
actually
said
did
that
me
the.
the
Oh
test
my God!
at night.
You just don't
That's
understand the
when
things
the
I say, do you?
ionosphere
You
settles
just can't
down.
Okay,
absorb it.
very simply. When
When it's reflective, that
Will
the ionized layer is only ionized
radio-
during the day.
waves bounce off the ionosphere, daytime or nighttime? My question: when will the radio waves bounce off the ionosphere? At day or night?
I'm going to go and check.
It's done. It's
Yeah, you're right,
No,
Travis. He
I-
did make
they
that
level
claim.
out at
Travis is
different
right.
Times,
Yeah,
but it's nighttime.
I know.
Is when he
I
did
think
the
it's
test.
nighttime. I think it's as I said, which was I think I said if the ionization layer reflects at night, even though it's not
Okay,
ionized. That's the point.
You just said
Good,
day,
okay.
though.
Oh my God!
So,
I
look-
said during the day it's ionized. That doesn't mean to say that the ionization layer does the reflection. Then Jesus Christ, you're jumping. You don't listen, or you perhaps don't understand. It is moderately complicated.
There are
Jesus.
3 layers or 3 stages. It's like L1, L2, L3, and that happens throughout the day and night.
Okay, so
Not
listen,
the
okay,
ionosphere,
this is
Gleam.
not
You
my
don't know what
problem.
you're
No,
talking
no.
about.
It
That's
is.
hilarious.
Look it up. Look it up.
Is the ionosphere at L1?
No, it goes through 3 different altitudes around about the 50 km mark onwards. Look it up.
Yeah, Gleam is right, and it's at nighttime. It settles down, and it's more predictable, and that's why they do a lot of that HF communication at night.
You're talking about the Langrian points. Nothing to do with that.
Right, so as I said, the ionization layer of the atmosphere is ionized during the day, but that doesn't mean to say that's when it's reflecting. And I said that was during the night.
Right.
Let me just.
Look it up, Brenda.
Yeah, I'm
Did you
looking
look it
at
up?
So
L1, L2, L3.
ionosphere.
He doesn't know. It's one thing
I
Rumpus
stick to
doesn't
what I
know.
said. I said that
No.
the ionization layer is ionized during the day, which is absolutely correct. And then I said
Right.
it's reflecting during the night. But I must admit, I'm not absolutely totally sure about that. I think I'm correct in saying that is the case. But I'm
We'll
not sure.
pretend you're correct. Should we pretend it?
That'd be
'Cause
the
we
issue, 'cause
normally do.
I always
Yeah,
am.
we
So, I
normally
mean,
do.
that'd be the thing
Yeah,
to
we
go
normally
with.
do.
That is the- that is-
If you could just do a little bit of shouting or something, that'll make the super chats come.
Well, as I'm always right, I suspect that I'm right.
This guy just be making shit up, bro.
You are literally, you don't know.
He doesn't know. He just makes shit up on the spot.
I
See,
know,
now
I
he's
told you the
backtracking. He's like,
ionization
well, I'm
layer
not sure.
Okay.
is
I don't
ionized during the
know.
day, which it absolutely is.
Okay,
And
so
then I
listen very.
But that's not the
Listen
same as
very-
it being reflective, which was when I was describing earlier. There are
Okay,
two
listen
things
very
going on here.
carefully, Rumpus. If you were astute,
Fortunately, we can't hear a word you're saying.
nah,
Travis, you're lagging bad, bro.
Oh, it's roboting, bruv.
Let me tell y'all the irony of all this. The irony is I didn't say a word in
not
that
as
video.
hold on. Okay, I was
Oh.
talking. Can you guys?
You're breaking up, Travis. You need to rejoin, dude.
You're all laggy, robot.
I think.
Hold on. So anyway, the
That's what
irony
you
in all
think,
this is that in this video, guys, I didn't say one word verbally. I don't think. I just wrote some stuff up there, my opinions, okay? And I just basically showed Starlink, you know? And it immediately got posted for Flat Earth. So I posted this SpaceX helps prove a flat Earth. Because
That's 'cause they
all
know
it
who
is
you
just,
are, bro.
it's nothing more than a picture of Starlink satellites. And they posted it as Flat Earth.
Bro, they know who you are, dude. They know what you're about.
Do you use Flat Earth in the title?
Do you see the point?
If you use flat Earth in the
It's
title.
a video. So just
Yeah, you use
show
flat
live
Earth in the title,
bias test
Brian.
footage. Does that get posted as Flat Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put SpaceX helps prove a flat Earth.
Have you guys ever read this article, this flat Earth Wikipedia page? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the mosaic model.
It's funny.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but the whole thing is kind of interesting.
Just
It's worth a read
dependent on
if
the
you haven't read it.
frequency.
Yes, frequency. That's exactly
Yes,
it.
indeed.
It
But
shifts it.
indeed, it does. But I think I'm correct. I think the idea is that because it's less ionized, it actually reflects, where when it's ionized, it doesn't reflect as much. So everything I said was correct.
Of course, Rumpus.
No,
Who would have thought otherwise?
Exactly, because I always am correct.
You dickhead.
I mean,
I got my money on Gleam, but no, I'll still say Rumpus was wrong once, and that's for thinking that he was wrong.
Okay, hold
Just
on.
type
Let
it-
me
anyone
please,
type in
please let me
ionosphere
make my
L1,
point.
L2, L3.
Okay,
Don't
please
let
let me
Travis
make my
make his point. No.
Okay, listen.
Go ahead.
If Rumpus was correct about the nighttime ionization or the ionosphere reflecting the radio waves, then he should have been astute enough that when I asked my question about when Marconi bounced his radio waves off the ionosphere, his answer should have been nighttime. Even if he didn't know, he should have made that comment, which means he was incorrect.
Correct.
All right, we'll give him that. Huh? All right. Hey, Brian, you had another video that you put out called Blue Marble Science Does Not Disappoint with Narrow-Minded Science. I kind of thought it was pretty interesting. You talked
it
about
was,
in
man,
here.
because he tries to sneak in helium. He writes down, the oxygen and acetylene, and then he tries to sneak in verbally helium. But we all know that helium, if we put it in a container, it's going to make the container lighter because it's lighter than the medium around it. Now, if you compress it in there, sure, it's going to get heavier. That's the exact rules and the law of relative.
Well, it depends on the
density
container.
disequilibrium.
If I put it in a
Brian,
balloon,
if I have a
depends on the container.
chamber
If I
with
put it
nothing
in
in
a
it at
balloon,
all, a
Rumpus,
vacuum,
I'm not going to stop talking.
and I
either.
put helium in
Rumpus,
it, does it
hey.
become heavier or lighter?
Jesus Christ.
Hey, your mic's a little low, Jeremy, but
So, Brian, if I have an empty container, i.e. nothing in it at all, vacuum, and then I put helium in it, will it weigh more or less?
Can we borrow your skull?
It
and do
all
the test?
depends on the medium that it's in. Everything,
doesn't.
not just helium, Rumpus.
No, it doesn't.
Mercury, iron.
No, it
it
doesn't.
all depends on the
No, it
medium it's
doesn't.
in. If you could
If
show
I
me
have
a
a
perfect
container,
void,
if I have a
I'll
metal
reconsider.
container, if I have a metal container and I have nothing in it to a vacuum inside it, and then I fill it with helium, does it weigh more or less?
Well,
It all depends on the medium it's in. That's why it's called
Wrong.
relative
Wrong.
density. Okay.
Wrong. It will
You don't
always
understand
weigh
then, bud.
more.
You don't
No, you don't
understand.
understand.
Keep
You
studying.
don't understand buoyancy. You don't understand density. You don't understand how
Rumpus,
weight
you
works.
will never break the laws of relative density disequilibrium because that's
There's
the way the world works.
No
I'm
such thing.
sorry.
No such
Deal
thing.
with
You
it.
just made that up. You just made that up. And you are completely wrong. The fact you didn't get the right answer to my question means you do not understand what the hell is going on.
Rumpus, what does relative mean, pal?
Well, it's one thing with respect to another.
Okay, so when I say relative, do I mean just that, Rumpus?
Well, I assume. Well, you're a bit confused about definition, but when you say relative, I think you know what that means. So I'm happy for you to.
Okay, so if I take listen here, if I take some iron and I put it in water, it's going to sink, okay? If I take that same iron and I put it in mercury, it's going to float. It depends on the medium that it's in, Rumpus. It's all relative.
You got the answer to my question wrong. If you have a
If you can show me a
vessel,
perfect void, if you can show me a perfect void with no medium, then I'll reconsider.
Right. Similarly, if you have a balloon with helium in it, and I take it into a vacuum chamber, and I weigh the balloon with the helium in it, and then I remove the helium and I weigh the balloon, it'll weigh less. Helium has weight. It's attracted to the earth just like everything else, just like you.
Relative to the vacuum, right?
No, you don't need to worry about that.
You're wrong, Rumpus. What you're
I'm
doing in the
absolutely
vacuum,
correct.
you're taking out all the density on that.
He's taking out the relativity of it.
On that
If you were
container.
to weigh a
That's what you're
balloon
doing.
in a
That's what you're
vacuum
doing.
chamber, an empty balloon,
Yeah.
and then you filled it full of helium, it would weigh more. Just like
Rumpus,
a
Rumpus,
And the
let me
question I
respond to
asked
that,
Brian
please.
earlier was, if you had
Let me
a metal vessel that had a vacuum inside it and you filled it with helium, would it weigh more or less? And he got the answer wrong.
Let me respond to that, please. Okay. Now, if you when I mentioned a perfect void, okay, in the video, I got two quick things. One of them is they had to use to get the helium to drop in the vacuum chamber. They didn't. They had to use really strong water balloons. I could argue that they had to compress the helium in there because 2 of the 3 balloons popped. My second argument is that they barely dropped. Now, in a vacuum, they're supposed to drop at 9.8 meters per second. Like, so what you're saying is that lead balloon in a vacuum, helium balloon in a vacuum that just barely made it to the bottom due to the weight of the balloon, that has fallen at the same rate as a lead ball. You're not using your common sense, bro.
It's not
You're not using your common sense, bro.
A helium balloon would drop at exactly the same speed as a lead ball in a vacuum.
Did you hear anything I just said, man? Be honest, fucking for one sake, for God's sake.
You're
One time, be honest,
just
please.
getting confused. Yeah, but you were describing a vacuum chamber that obviously was not a full vacuum. Listen to what I'm saying.
There's no such thing as a perfect vacuum, okay? I've never claimed it was a full vacuum.
You can get close enough if you make a big enough effort. You can get to the situation.
If it wasn't for the weight to the balloon, the helium would expand in all directions, Rumpus. And if you say otherwise, you're not being honest.
Yes, it does, but that's because it's bouncing off things. It still has weight. It's still attracted to the ground. It's still going to weigh something. If you have a helium balloon full of helium, it'll weigh more in a vacuum chamber than an empty balloon.
But it won't contact the scale on the floor.
Yes, it will.
Exactly, man.
Let's try it again. A helium balloon.
It will push it up.
No,
like
let's
what
try it
it's
again.
doing
Let's
here.
try this again. Jesus
It's pushing the whole
Let's
thing
try it
up.
again. You didn't listen to what I said, Glenn. You have a helium
It's
balloon.
carrying the weight of a balloon,
You have a
Rumpus.
helium balloon.
It's
and you weigh the helium balloon. You then empty the helium out of the helium balloon. It will weigh less.
We
because
all
the helium balloon, the helium added weight. Okay.
Sure, gas has weight in a container, but does it have weight outside of a container? You have no idea. You don't know that. Well, let's see it. Let's see you weighing gas outside of a container.
My point was everything he could do to get that helium balloon to drop, he had to use a balloon so strong that it compressed the helium in there and still was supporting the balloon all the way down to like 0.1 of an atmosphere. So what you're saying is wrong because you didn't even see it.
No.
Apparently.
Okay, I didn't see the video, but I'm telling you that everything we know about physics says that a helium balloon in a vacuum
It's wrong, bro.
Well, you're just denying science.
Everything you know about not everything.
If
You're
in a
talking
vacuum
mass
chamber, they would
addition,
both
that's all.
fall at the same rate.
Why would we use a vacuum if we can use something like a thick liquid or like an
Because
oil
then you
or
get
something?
the bubuoyancy issue. We're trying to eliminate buoyancy as a factor here. We're trying to
couldn't
establish that helium has weight.
Couldn't you
Because there are
select
two-
things that don't have a buoyancy issue?
Helium does not have weight.
Flat is
all
never
relative.
Here, guys.
Flat is
I mean,
never
'cause
coat
if
with
you're
more-
using air, you're going to need like a massive sample size that's probably not realistic.
Guys.
You need to be able to compress
No,
it.
Yeah, you gotta compress it. The only way they can get weight is to
Brian was
compress it
claiming, I
and
think,
contain
that
it.
helium doesn't have weight, and it does.
If what we're trying to do
helium
is
does not have weight.
Weight is medium dependent.
No, it's not.
yes, it is.
Gravity
no, it's
is. Gravity
No.
is medium dependent. Come on.
Well, are there other things
No,
that
the weight
manipulate
of something
weight?
is not changed.
Well, why
by
do humans
the
float
mass.
out in space?
Because the weight
So,
hasn't changed, but the
remember-
buoyancy force has. Because
No, it's the
buoyancy
mass that
force
hasn't
is
changed. It's the
dependent.
weight
The
that has
buoyancy
changed.
force is dependent on the amount of gas you displace. The weight of the balloon has not changed at any part of this.
Is there any way to change weight without buoyancy and without mass?
It's a gibberish question.
Is
The point
it?
is the weight of something will be the same. And when you
Is
use
it?
to eliminate the buoyancy forces, you
So
get
if
rid of
if
you have to do it in a
change-
vacuum chamber.
If you change
That's
the
why
charge of an
there are
object,
institutions in America
change
that
its weight?
specifically are designed to weigh things very accurately. And the way they do so is in a vacuum chamber to avoid
Is
the
this-
problems of buoyancy.
Are you reading something, or is this why they just call you
Rumpus,
Rumpus?
would a helium
No, I
balloon
was just
would a helium balloon be
saying something.
heavier on Jupiter?
Did you hear
Rumpus,
that?
would a helium balloon weigh more on Jupiter?
I didn't hear that, Brian. You have to
I'm
repeat that.
gonna
I'm afraid.
explain
Yeah,
to you,
Brian, did you hear anything I
Here's the
said?
trick. Listen, guys.
Yeah,
The
I did.
trick
I
is
liked
that-
it too, bud.
Okay. Well, then why did you talk over me?
I was talking over Rumpus, man. Sorry.
Yeah, Rumpus was also talking over me, and then the other guy come in and he was talking over both of you. So
Yeah,
you,
okay,
can you
well,
guys just like stick to the point? I made a good point. I didn't get
You
an
didn't
answer.
make a good point. No, you didn't make a good point.
It was a good point.
What was
Do you
my
want to
point?
repeat your point? Do you want to repeat your point then?
Do you want to repeat my point?
No, you repeat your point.
No, you repeat my point.
No. You
fucking
repeat
ass.
it, and then we'll not.
No,
deal
what
with
was
who-
my point?
No idea.
You made
You'd
a
have to repeat
comment that it wasn't
I've
a
no
good point.
idea.
What
You're
was
gonna have to
it?
repeat it.
What was it?
You claimed he
Like
was
a
wrong,
donkey.
Rumpus.
Okay,
You claimed he was
what?
wrong. You should be able to repeat it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want him
what's
to repeat
wrong
it.
about my point, man? Go ahead.
You repeat your point. Otherwise, we'll move on.
We're all waiting for you.
No. I'm not going to repeat your point. You have to
Yeah,
repeat
because
it,
you
and
don't
then we'll-
fucking know what I said.
No, you
right?
repeat your point, and we'll deal with that from then on.
You suggest.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Shut the fuck up. Let
Will
me
you
say what I'm
repeat the
saying
point, then?
I'm
Stop
happy to
complaining.
do so. If you
Go
shut
ahead.
the fuck up. All right? You claim that mass makes a difference. You also claim
Mass
that
makes a
buoyancy
difference to what?
makes a difference.
I didn't
Is there
understand that
anything
point.
besides shut the fuck up?
I don't
Is there
understand your
anything
point. You said
besides
mass makes a
buoyancy
difference. What does
and
that mean?
mass that changes weight?
Hold on. You just said that mass. You claim that I said that mass makes a difference. I don't understand what that sentence means. Makes a difference to what?
God.
See, you've no idea what you're talking about. You're just gibbering rubbish.
No,
Brian,
you're
much
saying
more
that
sensible than this guy.
more mass is more weight, right?
Yes. Okay.
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
I didn't actually say that, but that is true. Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm
You said
making
mass
points
makes a
that you
difference.
agree
What a
with.
crap! What a crap sentence that is. That means absolutely nothing. Now you
yeah, if you're stupid enough,
now you're saying that
if
mass.
you're so
now
stupid that
saying
you
that
can't
mass
get
means
the,
more weight,
the
which is a
full
completely
fucking
different
concept
sentence.
of what I'm
You
saying.
can't form a sentence, can you?
Not with your dumbass interrupting.
No, you had. I allowed you to finish a sentence completely, and it was just gibberish. Now you're
Dude,
saying that more mass
Are
equals
your
more
parents
weight.
dead? They probably killed themselves, right?
Yeah, you clearly have no understanding of science whatsoever. I mean, you're worse than Brian to talk to.
Oh my
Hold on,
God.
Rumpus. Hold on, Rumpus. Would a
You've
lead
got a
ball
red ass, dog.
weigh more on Jupiter? Would it weigh more?
Well, yeah, there's more gravitational attraction on Jupiter because it's a bigger.
Are you going to answer
more
my
massive
point
thing.
yet?
Well, I
won't.
didn't understand your point. The only point you've made so far is you said
Is there
that mass
anything besides
makes a
mass and buoyancy that can change weight? Fuckhead.
No, the weight
No.
is purely dependent on the mass.
And
of the
Brian,
object
stop
and
giving
being
him
the,
Jupiter.
Earth.
What is
Yeah, but
Jupiter,
the-
Brian?
My
So what-
point was that an electrical charge can change weight.
No, it doesn't change the weight. The weight of something is dependent only. What you're talking about when you, I mean, you could make a claim that the weight is something that a
Jesus
scale
Christ.
measure would measure.
Yeah.
But that
Well, I
hasn't
got an
actually changed
answer.
the weight.
You are just stupid then.
No, you're just
Electrical
moron.
charges.
So I'll
electrical
make
charges
a
don't
point
change
for
weight.
you. What you're saying is, I'm telling you that the weight of an object is simply dependent on its mass. But what you're saying is, what would a scale show if I were to then charge it up and then put an electrostatic force
Well, what
on
if
it?
I
The
gave something a
scale-
charge
the
and
scale,
actually
you're
had
interrupting me,
zero,
You're interrupting me.
and it
The
floated
scale would
over
in-
the scale, had
would
no
indeed
weight
show-
register?
The
How
scale
about
would
that?
indeed show a different weight if I were to charge
But
it.
if it
and
showed
then
no
charge
weight
it
at all
electrically.
after an electrical charge was
But
applied,
its weight actually has not changed. Because its weight,
Well, then
is
how can you
determined-
define weight if you're not using a scale?
The weight of something is its mass times the acceleration due to
No,
gravity.
the weight of something that changes depending on its medium.
But what
and,
you measure
and
on a
relationship
scale,
to that medium.
What you measure on a scale can vary depending on the condition. So, for instance, this institution that gives you the weight of things makes
Look, if
absolutely
the
sure
scale doesn't work,
makes absolutely
then your weight
sure
doesn't work.
that there are no other factors besides its gravitational weight.
How do you measure the mass of something on Earth, Rumpus?
Well, you can do it by measuring its weight. Remember, weight is a force. That's the attraction due to the gravity that attracts the thing. But you can also measure the mass of something by trying to accelerate it. This is what they do in space on the ISS. When they want to measure the weight of the thing, of the astronauts, they actually measure their mass. And what they do is they accelerate them with a spring, and they see how quickly they apply a force with a spring, and they see how quickly they accelerate. And using force is equal to mass times acceleration, they work out what the acceleration.
Rumpus, if I weighed something in sulfur
My
hexafluoride,
God,
wouldn't it weigh
I was
less?
nearly there, Brian. I was within 5 seconds. And so if you know what
Sorry, I
the force
thought you
is
was done.
with
Go
the
ahead.
spring, I was exert a force with a spring, and you see what the acceleration is. You say force is over mass, force over acceleration is equal to mass, and you can work out what the mass of the astronauts are. So if you can, there are two different ways to work out what the mass of something is: to do with the thing with a spring, or to stick it on some scales in a vacuum, away from electrostatic charges and away from every other thing that might cause it to affect. And then you can use some scales that use the gravitational attraction of the Earth. Go ahead.
Well, what would the electrostatic charge do to the weight?
That would affect the forces on it, but it won't change its weight. It would change the weight as measured by a scale.
No,
but
it
people
wouldn't
measure-
change its mass. It would change its weight. This
Yeah,
is the point.
if it changes
The
the
weight is
scale
dependent on
register.
medium and the relationship in that medium.
Yes.
Well, the weight is determined by its mass and the acceleration.
No.
Yeah, but Rumpus, if I weigh the aluminum, give me an honest answer. If I weigh the aluminum in sulfur hexafluoride, is it not going to weigh less?
The scale will show a different weight. But
Then it has a
well, how do
different
you
weight.
measure weight then?
Right, I've now told you this
a
about 4
scale.
times. I've told you that you can put the scale
So
in.
just go ahead
I've
and concede.
I've now said
concede
this
in
5
front of
times.
everybody, all of your fans.
I've said
here.
it 5 times, and you clearly haven't picked
We're
up.
trying to salvage your
I told you
respect.
there
Go
are
ahead.
institutions that weigh things very carefully, and they eliminate all those other factors you're talking about, like charge, like buoyancy, and they then just have a pure weight in a vacuum. But obviously, if you start putting other forces on it, then scales, like in an environment where
The
you're
weight
not
will
trying to eliminate
change.
all the other variables, the scale will show a different value.
If you put something on a scale
Rumpus,
and
all
then you
your
add another
physics is based
force,
on
its
air.
weight changed.
No, it's not. It's not
But
based
then-
on air at all, Brian.
Then put that in the ISS, and it will weigh differently, won't it? But it will still be the same mass.
Yeah, the mass is right, but the weight is still the
May I say
same.
something,
But
guys?
what
Sounds
you
like
measure on a
he needs to
scale is different.
concede.
Look, if you
here's a
right, for
point.
instance,
Sounds
right,
like
imagine,
he doesn't know what basic gravity
how about
does.
think about this?
You will
Imagine
never
if I was
concede.
dropping. Imagine I dropped a lead ball in a vacuum chamber, or in the air even, and then I put some. Well, actually, let's do it in the vacuum chamber, and then I put some scales underneath it. It would show 0 because the scales would also be falling along with the ball.
But then what would its weight
has
be?
its weight changed? No.
No.
Yeah,
Is its weight
absolutely.
0?
And the reason
No.
why is because scales don't measure weight.
But they do.
They measure the amount of they measure
God.
the amount
Rumpus
of
and Brenda
upward-
need to have a
Penises don't
conversation.
determine gender.
Listen to him.
scales. Excuse me.
Let them keep talking about
Scales
this because it
don't-
just makes them
scales don't-
sound crazy. I love it.
Listen, Brandon, to what
Excuse me.
listen to
Excuse
what
me.
Brenda is about to say.
Yeah,
Pay attention.
Yes. Pay attention. Scales don't
I think
measure
your
weight.
name looks better with that red
Excuse me.
thing on the
Excuse
side.
me. Excuse
Why are
me.
you
Excuse me.
interrupting her?
Saying
Why are you being so rude?
Excuse
Why are you being so rude?
Excuse me.
Why don't you let
Excuse me.
her
She's
finish?
saying
Excuse me.
nonsense that you
Excuse me.
disagree with.
She's
Excuse
allowed
me.
to make. You
Excuse
speak
me.
nonsense all the time, and I think she's
This is
entitled to
gonna
have a
be
go
a
as
clip
well.
of-
Excuse me. Scales measure the upward force on an object. It doesn't measure weight. It measures how much
You
the
don't
Earth
know
is
what weight
pushing
is.
back.
Oh my God.
They don't measure weight.
Bravo, Brenda.
I think.
Well
Jesus
done.
Christ,
That is
Brenda.
weight.
The spring, the attraction.
So
If we ignore
scales
all
measure the upward
although I just
force?
said that scales can be confused.
And they
but
disagree
you-
with each other, and
Oh
they're
my
both
God.
wrong.
Hold on, no.
You idiot! We've all got swords!
May I say
Brenda,
something now?
You guys gotta be paid actors.
I want to
This
just
is
make a
actually
point,
pathetic.
guys, please.
Right. The
Laurel and
scales
Hardy.
measure the force due to gravity if they don't have other factors on them, like the electric charge that whoever it was talking about electric charges. So it compresses the spring, and that's the amount the spring moves reflects the forces acting on it, which is the weight.
Is
Assuming
gravity a
they've got-
medium?
assuming- but also unfortunately, that also includes buoyancy effects. But if you've got it in a vacuum, then it
So
will.
the weight-
Not having got electrostatic
If you're
charge, it
on
will
an
reflect the weight.
elevator,
What?
if you stand on a scale in an elevator, your weight will change. I mean, well, the measured scale, the
Yeah,
measurement
no,
of the scale
you're right.
will change.
Though
but
your weight will change. You were correct.
Uh-oh.
Actually, you're right. You're right, Brent.
will
Okay,
change
you're
because of
making the same
inertia.
point I was making. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm
You guys are
Rumpus.
pumping your own
I put
brains up
things-
right now.
Rumpus, I put things in ways in order to maximize their cognitive confusion.
You failed
So-
miserably.
So, Brandon, may I speak? Well, the elevator thing, the scale changes because of inertia, right? That's all it is.
Do you know what
these
inertia
people
is?
are retarded.
You don't know
They
what
won't
inertia is, do you?
understand. Yeah, whatever.
No, you
And
don't.
if we're trying to test, they love the vacuum thing, but if we're trying to test what density does to objects, then you gotta test the same object either in the vacuum, and then you gotta fill it out with a denser material and see what is gonna happen, right?
Why?
Let's say we take that same volume, we empty it of air,
Why?
we take it because we're testing the density, idiot.
Why?
Because we're testing what density does related to the other objects. So when you
You're talking
say
about buoyancy,
in
I
a
think you're trying
vacuum, it does this,
Archimedes
yeah, but
principle.
now you gotta change it to where that vacuum is now a really dense, full of a denser material, and we're gonna see what those objects are gonna do, how they're
You can
gonna
get
behave.
buoyancy forces. Why do you want to
And
include buoyancy
so
forces?
gravity does jack shit. We can make an object go up and down depending on the medium, on the density of the medium.
Well,
That's
we know
it.
about buoyancy forces. Why do you want to confuse the
off
issue
with
by
you,
including
boy.
buoyancy forces?
Yeah, whatever.
Wait, I
Okay,
do have a
fine.
question about this buoyancy force that you're always talking about. Where do I measure it? Let's say I've got a bowling ball underwater and I drop it. You're telling me that there is something called a buoyancy force that's acting on the bowling ball. Where can I measure the buoyancy force?
Well, you can do that by saying what's its weight in a vacuum, and in fact doing what the procedure.
It's relative density,
No.
bro. I think it's
I'm underwater with a bowling
Can I just
ball.
finish?
I'm underwater with a
you have your
bowling
bowling
ball.
ball.
Yep.
Right. You have a
And
bowling
I'm going
ball.
to measure it
and you,
while I'm underwater.
You want to measure the buoyancy force.
I want to measure the buoyancy force. So where do I observe
I'm
it?
about
and
to
how do I
I'm trying to
measure it?
tell you, Brandon. Right.
Well,
so you get your
I'd
bowling
like to finish
ball,
the question.
Ball. Well, I understand your question. You keep on repeating it. I understand exactly what you're asking. I'm going to tell you. I can get to there very quickly. Put the bowling ball in a vacuum, weigh it on some scales. You then have the genuine weight. You then stick it in the water, and then you see what the difference is, and that difference is the buoyancy force.
No, you're not answering my question. I'm already underwater with the bowling ball. Okay,
Yeah,
I can't get out of the pool. I'm stuck in the pool forever.
So right, you're in the water. And you're on the bottom of the pool. Get out some scales, measure its weight. Then you take the bowling ball and the scales into a vacuum chamber and then measure its weight again. The difference between those two is the buoyancy force.
You have failed to answer my question, but you have answered it, really. So what you're saying is I cannot directly measure this buoyant force.
Yeah, can I restate it for you, Brandon?
Well,
I understand. So what he's
what you
essentially
think
asking is when we essentially measure gravity, we're using a scale and an object above it. The object above it is putting some type of force on the scale. We have a reading. But he's asking essentially for buoyancy. Can we do that with a scale and have the object float against the scale and have a measurement, more or less? Would that be accurate, Brandon?
No, I'm just asking because even with things that are falling down, you say that there's a buoyant force acting on it. So I'm just wondering how I can measure this other force that you say there is.
I just told you. I gave you an exact description of how to measure the force. Exactly.
I'm underwater. I'm looking to measure the force. I can measure the weight pretty easily.
Right. Yes, that is the point. The buoyancy is a force, and that poses the weight of the object. So I told you, you measure the weight of the object in the water.
That you're saying are happening. I
the weight
understand
of
how
the
we
thing
can
and the
measure
buoyancy force
one,
opposes that.
but how can we measure the other one? Because I only see one force. I see the downward or the upward pressure.
And I told
from the
you
object.
exactly.
That's all we're measuring, right?
You measure the weight of the ball in the water on some scales. So you go to the bottom of the pool, it sinks to the bottom, you stick it on some scales. You measure the weight of your bowling ball. You then take the scales and the bowling ball to a vacuum chamber and you weigh it again. The difference between those two weights is the buoyancy force.
Okay. So there's one force. That was my point, but that's okay.
What's
so how about in liquid mercury, Rumpus? How about in liquid mercury?
It looks like Blue is trying to talk.
I think the microphone.
Lighting up.
I mean, I've got a diagram for all this. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, no diagrams, Rumpus. Cheers.
Yeah,
Blue.
Cheers. Thank you.
you-
Yeah, no, thank you. Cheers. Bye.
I've got a fantastic diagram.
We really don't need to
volume
hear
of water
again
just
about
what's
the
in the
gravity
volume.
heliocentric shit. We don't, because it's going to end the same way it always does. You're going to tell us about some crazy shit, space-time bending. It's just going to go into lunacy.
Time bending.
I'd like to jump in for a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody doing? Yeah? Good, I hope. So they say that QE has invented his own scientific method, and fair enough. QE has one, and then everybody else has their own. And then other people, their scientific method, it says to ask a question, right? And this is a really interesting part because you can ask what kind of question? Well, just, it doesn't say, it just says ask a question. So why did Einstein marry his cousin?
My wife's gonna make meatloaf tonight.
Relativity. He loved relativity so much.
Right, but when does
is
the
that a good
science
answer?
actually start? When does this? Okay, so if you guys say that if you go high enough, you can see a curve. I'd say if you go high enough, you can see unicorn nipples.
You're
Is that
breaking
what I
up.
believe?
It's very
Maybe.
difficult to hear what you're saying.
Yes. Oh, that
You're
didn't come
breaking
through?
up. It's very difficult to hear what point you're trying to make.
Yeah, your
I
mic's a little
apologize.
drowned out.
Can you hear me now?
I heard him real good.
Okay, well, I couldn't.
Rumpus was just
Okay,
pointing what
yeah.
he said.
If you go up high enough, you can see the curvature. That's what you guys believe. I believe we can see unicorn nipples. Right, because it makes sense. There's no unicorns here, so they must be flying around. So if you go
That's
high
a great
enough, you
claim.
can look up and
Pictures. We've got
That's a-
pictures of the. We've got pictures of the Earth.
That's a great claim, Hank. I think you should explore that. If you have any evidence, we would love to see it. Or do you have any now? Or
The Earth is a unicorn.
That was
but
cool
what
that you
were
guys
on
didn't even
about?
let him finish.
It was just gibberish, wasn't it?
it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
no, but that's a
No, it
fantastic
wasn't
claim.
finished at
You're
all.
right.
When do we get to the science part, though? Because so far we've only been talking about philosophy.
Was that?
Thank you,
That
Hank
sounded like a
Hill.
bad faith question.
When
I
do we
just
get to
wondering,
the science part?
after we got Einstein, when does the science start? Like after we determine that he likes to keep it relative. Like when do we get to the science part? I asked the question, what's the next step in the scientific method?
Right. You're
What do
asking
we
why
do next,
Einstein fucked his cousin and married his cousin. And then you're asking about unicorn nipples in space. And then you're asking when science starts. So I don't think that any part of that was a good
I don't think
statement.
BioDuel's been following along very closely. 'cause
I just
he's
repeated
gotta
exactly what
follow
Hank just
what's
said.
I
Not
said I
really.
believe you can see.
You understand
if you
how he
get high enough.
tied all those together?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a bad faith
guys-
statement.
You guys can see curvature if you get high enough, right? That's what you believe, right?
Right, of course.
Pictures
Of
of
course,
it.
yes.
We've got pictures of it.
Depends how high you
Pictures.
get.
There's
And what
pictures
drugs
of.
you're on.
Yeah, that's true too, right?
And we can measure it, and I'm going to be doing
Yeah,
that. in a
all they
few
need
weeks.
for good faith is pictures.
We can
All they
measure
need
this. You can look
for
at
good
Polaris,
faith
and
is
I'm doing an
pictures.
experiment
No
in a few weeks'
test,
time,
no
which will be
nothing.
showing it
Good
as
job,
well. We've got
Grumpus.
all sorts of proof for it.
Can I guess, Hank? Can I guess at the reason why? Is it because he's a Jew? Is that why? Because he's a Jew?
Damn, Brenda, bringing the heat tonight.
Wow.
What the fuck?
No, I'm
Yeah,
exposing
what is that
the
about,
anti-Sem.
You're triggering the.
You're about 70 years
anti-Semitism-
too late, man.
The
What are you doing?
anti-Semitism
Confused,
of
Brenda.
flat Earth. The
No,
flat earthers
I got no problem
What
with
the
you.
hell?
go right to anti-Semitism.
Brenda.
You brought that up.
Brenda.
I haven't
You're
heard
the one that brought
one
it up,
person
like,
say
on the
anything
phone.
anti-Semitic.
Thinking that he is
Little
gonna
random.
something's gonna stick.
Right. So
Brenda's
the
got the
smears,
biggest dick here.
the smears against Einstein, the smears against Einstein are based in anti-Semitism.
You know what, Brenda? That's
No,
really
I
dumb.
think it would be
That
because
is
he married
really
her
dumb.
cousin.
You think
So
we disrespect
anti-Semitism's-
Einstein because of anti-Semitism? Is that what you think?
Flat earthers are probably more anti-Semitic than fascists are.
Probably. You're
Yeah, in
stereotyping.
my
Yeah,
experience,
you're just basing
debating
research.
debating both,
Based
debating both.
research.
Well, I don't like
You're
Einstein
more
because I don't like
anti-Semitic
people who
than even
partake
the
in
alt
incest.
right is. Even the alt right is more
So
is less anti-Semitic than you are.
Incest is anti-Semitic, yeah.
No, smears are. The smear is because the intention is to smear. It's an intent.
Yeah, but we're talking about the
We're
incest,
talking about incest.
not the smear.
What's that got to do with
Don't
Jewish
be
people?
retarded,
Sorry.
Brenda.
What's that got to do
She
with
gets
my
demolished,
history?
and then she starts
Sorry.
going after the channel and going after the category
Yeah,
of flat Earth
right?
in general. When she
Yeah,
gets
what's that
demolished,
got to do with my
Even
ancient
after the
I'm gonna go
history?
after your
Jews,
shit sooner or later, Brandon. Promise
Hey,
you. I can give you
well,
4
here's one thing.
examples
He
where
did
she's
marry
went
his
after
cousin,
people
didn't he?
when she gets destroyed.
Yeah, he did.
100% fact.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
His
it's just
second,
a
his
fact,
his
then.
second wife was his first cousin.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Yeah, that's
Brenda?
something that we can all shit on for sure.
Yeah, but it's still
Well,
it's
I
still
mean, I
a
don't care,
smear.
but
it's
it's
still
a
a smear
fact.
with an anti-Semitic intent.
No, it's not. It's a
the
fact.
intent.
What the
Brenda,
hell
you
has
can't,
that
you
got
can't be
the
sure of
intention?
that. Brenda,
What?
this is not
Brenda, you're
productive.
saying that is anti-Semitic.
But what's the intent of the Lord
Brenda,
giving you
you
male
implying
anatomy?
that
Brenda?
is anti-Semitic. Just you
See?
implying that, Brenda, is
What's
what's
the intent?
anti-Semitic.
See?
Nobody said nothing's married cousin, except you calling it anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Chat in
Yes,
this,
you are.
chat in the chat.
Can we move on from this subject, please?
Please.
Yes, I would love to. That's absolutely rude of you there. I will say, Brenda. That is rude. Really rude.
Yeah, so what
She's a fucking psychopath, dude. She will go after you too.
Well, she may have evidence for it, but she either has to present some evidence or something. But
Yeah, well, no one said it here, Rumpus. You heard that.
exactly. So I don't think it's a useful line to go down.
What's the next step,
Oh,
please?
Hank, your mic is cutting in and out. Sorry.
Here, Hank, I think from your question earlier, I'll put it this way. We don't need grade school step-by-step processes. Science will be included when you're investigating something. That'll be essentially the most basic way I could break it down. But it doesn't require step-by-step process for adults. That's
I
for
kind of
children.
disagree with that. And here's why. I understand where you're coming from saying, yeah, we don't need color by numbers or whatever, but we do need some kind of standards. You know, keep it simple, stupid. Have you ever heard that? I found that it's very good just to keep things simple, especially when there's so much room for people to make shit up like Scientologists
that's the
and
peer review
heliocentrists
process.
do, you know?
Yeah, it's the peer review process. So every experiment within every field is going to be slightly different and a little nuanced. But you have people that are within that field looking over and reviewing experiments, observations, claims, tests, all these things. So they understand these nuances within that field and can make a determination of, okay, this is legitimate, or I see the error here. You should do this. The mistake is the mathematics is wrong, whatever it may be. That's the peer review process. But you are right. The color by number thing is highly specific, but it's only a foundation for children.
Right.
As we grow older, we have nuances introduced.
No, I don't think so. You know, kind of like treat others how you want to be treated is the golden rule, and that works pretty well for you throughout your whole life. I think
But
being
there's
able to
nuances,
identify
right, because of the
your
death penalty.
independent, dependent variable and that simple stuff is pretty good thing to do. It's a pretty good foundation to build on.
Sure. I don't think anybody shits on it. I think the biggest issue is that when you say it's required and any deviation from that is not science, that is a bold fucking claim to make, because there are nuances
How about natural science? What
there
if
are
you want-
nuances in 2021. There are nuances between each field, and then every experiment's not going to be able to be set up in that way. So there are nuances involved. And as you said, the golden rule, well, I would just bring up the death penalty, in which we generally would agree that that's fine, but I wouldn't want anyone to kill me just because I, sentence this person to death or whatever. There are nuances involved.
Yeah, I think we have to be very careful about what we let through the door. You know, just based on our history of getting jerked around by sophists.
So when they don't have the essential components to go through to perform natural science, then why should we even believe it?
Well, that's
don't
what
have to.
the
That's the
London,
beauty of it, Jeremy.
the Royal Society of London kind of thought too. They said, don't accept anything that's not established experimentally.
What are you talking about, Jeremy? Who's not doing? What are you claiming you're making now?
If an experiment doesn't follow a scientific method that they claim to be
All branches of your pseudoscience
Natural science,
don't fall into the category of natural science. You guys don't have any
like what
valid hypotheses, independent variables, multiple things
What
that
are
you guys
talking
lack
about?
on.
Science is not just about dependent variables and experiments. It's all about measuring things as well, you moron.
No, natural. What the fuck?
No,
natural
measuring
science
is not science.
So you don't think, say, for instance, measuring the weight of a proton is science?
No, absolutely not.
You moron.
Absolutely not.
Utterly.
Not natural
science is the
technology.
study of the
It's not
physical and
natural
natural
science.
world. It involves
Right.
measuring
Yeah.
things, determining the geometry of things, determining what DNA is inside you. That's not got the bloody independent
With
variable.
experiment and with observation and experiment. You never finished the
The
definition.
measure,
bro.
no,
Yeah.
the
Quit being
science.
dishonest.
Yeah, he
The
always leaves
means
out the
by which you do that is another
experiment
thing.
part.
But what
The
there is
definition
the
sucks,
study
though,
of the physical
Rumpus.
and natural world. How you
Everything
achieve
falls
that
in
is
that
another
definition.
factor.
Everything falls
Science
in that
is the study of the
definition.
physical and natural world. How you
Pornography
achieve
falls
that
in that
is you.
definition.
If that's your definition, then babies are doing it every time they open their eyes.
Well, they're not studying in a
No,
rigorous
he's
formal
saying the
method.
definition. He's only saying half of it, though.
No, it's not.
He
That's
knows
not
what he's doing.
The mechanism, by observation. That doesn't involve independent variables.
Observation and experiment. Through
Yeah,
observation and experiment.
that's
That's
two
a part.
things.
He leaves
It's
out
like
one every
saying
time.
I
He knows
can
what he's
ride
doing, folks.
bicycles,
You
or
will
I can
always
drive
leave
He knows
out
a
what he's
car.
doing,
I can
folks.
do
You don't let
one
me
or the
talk.
other. You don't
Rumpus,
understand the
there's
word,
an
use the
and,
word and.
observation and experiment.
Yes, so
or.
it means I can
Let me get this out real
debate
quick,
about-
y'all. Let me get this
So I
out
have,
without
so I
any
have
where we
one
debate
field that
about
have
what the
men
word
and
means.
women in it. I can have a
This is
women
what,
only
let me
vertical.
get this out. Every time Rumpus says that definition,
Jesus
he leaves
Christ,
the end
that's
off. He knows what he's doing. He don't
No,
like me
you
getting
don't
this out
understand
to
the
the
meaning
people.
of the word
But
and.
the people are going to hear this, Rumpus.
You're a
Every time
moron
he
if you
uses that
think
definition,
science
he leaves
can
off
be
the
just
end.
observation. For instance,
Why do you
measuring
leave
the weight,
off the end of the
measuring
definition,
the weight.
Rumpus?
It can do because you can use experiments, and you can use observation and
You've done this
determining
4 times in a row
determining
on
the
this
mass
show.
of the proton is science. Determining what DNA is inside Jeremy is science. None of that.
Rumpus,
involves
why
the
do you always
hypothesis.
leave off the end of that definition?
Because
When
you get
when you're talking
confused
about
by it.
natural,
And just
when you're
listen to
talking
what
about
I just
natural
said.
science,
Measuring the mass of a proton is science. That's
You
got
gotta-
nothing to do with an experiment and having a hypothesis. Just measuring the mass of a proton without having any hypothesis is science.
If you're gonna determine the DNA that's inside Jeremy, you're gonna need a whole lot of Q-tips and a whole lot of gloves. Just so you know.
you're gonna need to check your mom's mouth, Rumpus.
Yeah, but that's no hypothesis involved in that. There's no hypothesis involved in that. That's just simply determining, measuring the DNA in Jeremy.
Right. The scientific method is good. I don't think anybody says it's bad or it's flawed or whatever. It's good, but there are going to be other things going on, and if you just adhere to the scientific method, then my best example that I always bring up is you could boil water with temperature change, heating it up. You can also boil water with pressure change.
You're missing the point.
So if you go with
You're missing the point completely.
The
Science is about studying
science-
the physical and natural world. You don't have
Right,
to conduct
man.
an experiment to do that.
I know.
That's
exactly what I was saying.
Listen, yo, this show isn't
you're
about you
missing
guys.
the
Change
point.
the whole thrust of the argument. You've gone on to something else about how you do
Rumpus.
experiments. It's irrelevant how you do
No,
experiments.
I'm
Experiments
sure-
are only one part of
Bro,
science.
this
All
is
I'm
a
showing
huge
is that the
waste of time,
scientific
Brandon. You're
method
just
can
sitting
be
here having a
flawed.
We're not.
fucking
Yeah, but
circle jerk all over us.
we're saying that
Why-
science.
why we let him do
part
this?
of science.
Right. I know.
Glober's just arguing against Glober's.
You're
It's
missing
funny.
the big picture,
Yeah.
bio.
It's all right.
No, the big picture is the difference between experimental science and theoretical science. That's
No,
what I think.
natural
Science
for.
includes
Natural
observation.
science is
Determining the
my mic low?
DNA in Jeremy
Yeah,
is
Rumpus,
science.
you just cut him
Is
off.
it
Go ahead.
theoretical or experimental?
It's observational.
Let me know when I can get a shot here.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Now, when you're doing natural science, it's imperative. It's not cool or handy or good to have. When you're doing natural science, it's imperative that you have an experiment. Otherwise, you're not doing natural science. You're doing
Yes, you
something
are.
else.
Yes,
No.
you are. This is where you're
You're not.
completely confused and you're just
We're
regurgitating Q's
confused.
crap because you don't understand what the hell's
It's
going
not
on.
crap. It's science. We got
Science is the
citations.
study of the physical
We
and
got
natural world
citations
by
from
whatever
every
method
fucking
you choose to make. And that
college
can
out
be,
there.
if you're claiming that working out the mass of a proton is not science, then I mean, you just no point in talking to you. That is
Jeremy-
absolutely science, and that does not involve an hypothesis. It's just measuring
Rumpus,
the mass of a proton.
Can I give you a recent thing that's just happened in real life? Yeah, with the magnetic moment of the muon. Yeah, where we calculated it, didn't we? We calculated it, and then CERN managed to do the experiment, and they found, oh yeah, there is this actual thing. There's this difference in what it's calculating. It's only a small fraction,
Yeah, they
but
just
it's enough.
decided to measure it. So it was what they did, CERN. All they did is they said,
Yeah, so it's
"Be
an
interested-
experiment
Oh,
versus
what-
a
it wasn't an
calculation.
experiment. No.
theoretical.
All they did is said, today we're going to be measuring the magnetic moment of a muon. That's all they did. There's no hypothesis involved here. Let's go and do it and see
It's
what
a
answer we get.
theoretical
Oh, look,
measurement
we got
you
an
don't
answer.
understand.
And someone else has said, hold on, that doesn't match what we are the theory. And then someone, oh, okay. They did science by simply measuring the magnetic moment of a muon. That's all
By
they had to do.
experiment.
That's science.
Experiment is king.
No, it's not an experiment. It's a measurement of
Experiment
the
is
magnetic
king.
moment of a muon. There's no experiment involved. There's no hypothesis. Just let's today go and measure
No,
the
listen,
magnetic moment
there
of a muon.
is, because there
Similarly,
is not one
measuring
way
the
to
mass of a
measure it.
proton is not involving any
You're wrong.
hypothesis. Just today we're going to
You're
go
wrong.
and measure the mass of a proton, or you can measure its size, or you can measure the size of the
No,
Earth,
you're wrong,
or you could
because
measure the
there's many
size of the
ways
universe.
to measure
All
it,
those
and there
things
are
do not
different
require
theories
a
in how you
hypothesis.
measure it.
You're just simply making a measurement, and that is science.
Incorrect. Incorrect. There are many
Completely
different
wrong.
ways to measure it, and there
So
are many
what?
different theories on
and?
how to measure it.
And that's fine.
So therefore, there
Just
are
the act of
experiments.
measuring the size of the magnetic moment is science without any other
That's an
qualifications.
experiment, my
No,
brother.
it's
Okay,
not.
let's-
It's just a
okay.
measurement.
Okay, just real quick, Rumpus, how would you differentiate between an experimental science where we have an hypothesis that we're going to test? What would you call that?
But that's an experiment. And also, you have natural experiments in which you do not need to manipulate the independent variables. You let nature do it. But an observation, I mean, the classic one I just pointed out is the measuring the mass of a proton. You do not need
I
any
didn't
hypothesis.
ask you to waffle on, you fuck. I didn't ask
Well, no,
you
you
to
didn't
waffle
understand what I
on.
said. You asked a stupid
Well, I
question. If
did.
you'd listened to what I've
did.
been
I
saying,
perfectly
you wouldn't have
understood.
asked the stupid question.
I
But
perfectly
go ahead.
understood. Okay.
No, you didn't.
You're saying that there are different branches of science, And the one that we are talking about, we, flat earthers, are talking about experimental science. Okay?
You can, but you can talk about experimental science if you want to.
No,
Yeah,
no,
fine.
that's what we're talking about.
I'm
That's
talking
what
about
we're
science in general.
always talking about.
No,
Okay, you can talk about experimental science. I'll talk about science in general, like measuring the mass of a proton.
No, that's theoretical science.
Or no, it's not theoretical. What are you talking about? There's nothing theoretical about that. It's an absolute physical measurement, you idiot. Jesus Christ, that was the most stupid thing I think you've ever said. And measuring what DNA is in Jeremy is another observational thing. It's got nothing to do with a theory, nothing to do with experiment. I'm just going to go away and take a bit of Jeremy and see what DNA is or what his genome is. And that's a purely observational thing.
Swab your mom's cheek.
Exactly. And then go and measure it. And then there we are. That's got nothing to do with experiment, but that is science. Jesus Christ, you're really lost. You just swallowed this QE crap. You regurgitated without thinking. That guy's a moron. You're just a bunch of parrots. You don't understand what you're talking about. Go and look up the definition of science. And measuring the mass of
Rumpus. Fuck me, man. Listen, we are not just parroting QE, okay? I have actually thought through
you were less bad at that.
what science means.
Okay, Brandon, in your case, you don't parrot him to quite the same extent as others do.
Listen, Rumpus, you're an idiot. This comes from accredited colleges in America, all throughout America, are saying that in order to do natural science, you need to have an experiment.
No, they don't.
This isn't QE's thing. This is what colleges.
Only QE believes that. Only QE believes that.
No.
QE's the only person who believes that, and you've believed him for some reason.
Talking about QE.
Rumpus, I have a question for you. When you express what you think science is, are you parroting consensus?
I'm parroting the formal definition that's been established over centuries.
So you're parroting too. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm parroting an authority from the body of science and through centuries of intelligent people, unlike a moron like QE, and which you're parroting. He's the only person who believes that in the whole world, and you
Where do
copy
you
him.
think he got this from? He got this from.
He made it up. He's a moron.
Colleges.
He doesn't believe in gravity. He
all
thinks you
throughout
can't
America.
have gas pressure without a bloody container. He thinks that light is not bloody electromagnetic. The guys are such a moron. It's unbelievable.
Stop getting triggered, Rumpus. Just pull up a citation for us to look at and see if Jeremy's correct. Is there a statement anywhere by an EDU site that says that natural science, in order to be a natural science, has to have an experiment? It's very simple. Either it's out there or it's not.
I would actually expect Jeremy to...
I don't give a shit what you expect.
Well, here
I'm
we go.
saying,
Look at this one. Natural science is based on observation. There we go. From observation and experimentation. So there you are.
Yeah, and experimentation.
Yes, but it doesn't mean you can have observation and you can have experimentation. You don't need to have both
they're
at the
the
same time.
thing, for God's sake.
You don't know the meaning of the word and.
Or. It didn't say or.
No, or is an exclusive or. That means you can only have one or the other. When you use the word and in that form, it's like saying if I go to a hospital, it treats men and women. So it can just be a place that treats women only.
It treats
in
both
the place of in one
men and
ward.
women.
You don't. So I mean, you don't understand what the word. There's no man and woman person. There are men and there are women. You can just concentrate on having a woman's ward.
Rumpus, you don't know what the word "and" means, dude.
No, you don't understand what the word "and" means. It's incredible.
Interrupt me.
It's just amazing.
You are
Right,
defining
the
the
same
word
problem.
"or." Hold on. Do you got to interrupt me right when I start talking? Can I say anything at all? This is why I get all fired up. What I'm trying to say is you are literally defining the word "or" and replacing a bed and breakfast. Are you going to a bed or breakfast?
Exclusive or.
Jack and Jill. Who went up the hill? Jack and Jill. Is it Jack or Jill? You are literally describing the word
Yeah,
"or."
but Jack or Jill could get Jack or Jill. Yeah, but usually or.
And you have the audacity to call quantum eraser. Quantum eraser is an intellectual giant compared to you. You're borderline fucking retarded, dude.
Almost everything he says is wrong.
Wouldn't they have
he's
said
so
or
frightened.
if they meant or?
Oh, you are literally Rumpus. Think back to your comprehension skills days. You find it great math and horrible in comprehension.
My
I promise you.
skills are excellent. If you think that do you think that measuring the mass of a proton is science?
Rumpus, measurements are not science.
They are!
Idiot.
Because it's the study of the physical and natural world, and measuring the mass of a proton is part of the physical and natural world,
It's the
and measuring
observation
that
part.
is science. Measuring the magnetic moment of the muon that Gleam was talking about is also science.
Are you doing science if you measure your male reproductive organ?
Yeah,
Well, it wouldn't be terribly useful, but I'm sure there is a scientific study on that.
Question, bro. Great question. Can you answer the question, Rumpus?
I think if you measure it
measuring
twice,
the anatomy,
you
for
gotta
instance.
measure it twice.
Here we go. Measuring something's anatomy and the anatomy of the human body, which doesn't involve, when we first started out on the anatomy of the human body, that did not involve any theories. It just involved taking apart people's bodies, and measuring them. So there's an example. Anatomy is an example of science that does not have a theory and does not have an experiment. It's just measuring the human body or measuring how a tree, what the things inside a tree. Histology, most of science is actually about pulling things apart and seeing what they're made of. None of that revolves around an experiment.
That your fingers
QE's a
don't
moron,
just
and you're
change length overnight,
don't
bro.
understand the meaning of the word "and."
Nah, man. It's always an experiment. If you doing measurements over and over, that's an experiment, bro. If
No,
you're
it's
controlling variables, that's an experiment.
There's no controlling variables. So hold on. How is measuring a mass of a proton an experiment? You're just making a measurement of something.
Yeah, you have to measure it many times to get a
So
mean
what? That
and
doesn't make
stuff
it an
like
experiment.
that.
That's multiple observations.
It does.
Bullshit.
It does.
What are you
because
talking
you have
about?
to control
That's just
everything,
multiple
don't you?
observations.
You
That's
have
just
to
multiple observations. It doesn't have an independent variable and a dependent variable.
There's
You're
a
just
theory backing
measuring
it,
the
though,
mass of
no?
a proton.
Is there not a theory attached to measure that?
Doesn't matter. I can go out today and say I want to measure the mass of a proton. That is science. Doesn't matter whether I've got a theory about what it should be or not.
Right, Gleam. Most have predictions. Most particle physicists will have predictions about the weight of something, the magnetic charge,
It's
or
the
value
same
of things.
thing as
There will
what
be
I'm
predictions,
saying.
but when you conduct or confirm these predictions, it's not necessarily an experiment involved, just an observation. So I'm going to predict the weight of this proton based on a number of factors, sure, and it's just a prediction. Then you go out and measure it without doing any experiment. You measure it, and then you can either confirm or
No, can I reply to
project
you?
It's a sad day that measurements aren't experiments. It's just a sad day that we've taken so much for granted. We've become so cocky-headed.
They
That's
can
crazy.
be. They can be.
No,
It's
no.
not
Listen, the
black and white.
measurement itself that has to be set up as an experiment.
No, it's not.
It
just an
does because you
observation.
can't just walk up there and just go, I'm slapping my ruler
You seem to
on.
be confused what an experiment is. You seem to think way it's defined is you have an independent dependent variable and you're varying it around. That's an experiment. We're not doing that by measuring a proton. We're just going and saying, right, let's effectively get a ruler out or a scale out.
Can I actually get out what I
that
think?
does not involve
Hey,
an
Rumpus,
independent
Instead of you
variable.
just
controlling your
making
measurement
shit up.
device? Is your measurement device
Oh,
not
no,
the
I guess
control
not.
variable? You fucking genius! Oh my god!
No,
what
you
the-
don't know what a controlled variable is, do you?
Wait,
There are
It's
many
not a
things.
controlled variable.
There are many
How can
things
a
involved.
device be?
Oh, God.
You
Gleam,
moron!
you're
How
right.
can a device that uses measurement be a controlled variable? A
Because
controlled
it's
variable.
controlled.
Oh my god! You
I
don't know
bet-
what the
it
word
sounds like
control
Bioduel
is, do
agrees
you?
with me. Bio, thanks for being
No, I
righteous,
don't.
bro.
No, I
You're always
don't.
on
No,
point.
because it requires
You
an
are
explanation.
taking the extreme.
When you're measuring a proton, of course you're doing many things to isolate the proton itself. So you're not getting errors within your results, and you're not measuring something else or some type of influence. Of course, you're doing very complicated, very precise things to control particular variables. Of course you are. But as far as it goes as an experiment, you're not. You're just trying to
It is.
reduce
Now,
your
can I
error
get out
margin.
exactly what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Can I get out? Yeah, because the first part is the measurement that you're on about is the first part after the observation of saying, right, I've seen something, now I'm going to measure it. Now the science part kicks in when you apply
No, it's not. That
theory,
is science.
you apply experiments over the top of that.
You're just
Yeah,
making it up.
the measurement. Yeah, the measurement. You don't just take one measurement and then run with that
You can do
rumpus.
if you
You go
want to.
back and you
There's
keep
no
on.
rule.
No, yeah, there is because there's this thing called error
But making
deviation,
measurements doesn't
rumpus,
make
and
it an
all
experiment.
scientists,
Why do you think
all
doing it multiple
experiments.
times makes an experiment? Why can't you have multiple observations? If I want to weigh something 20 times, it
That
doesn't
is
become
the
an experiment.
Yeah, no, that is the experiment.
No,
It is.
And if I measure the weight of something 20 times, that doesn't become an experiment. You
It
seem to
does
think
when
that
you
doing something
apply
multiple
theory.
times. You seem to be so
It does
confused
when
about
you
what an
vary
experiment and
theory.
observations are.
What if
You
you
just
vary
you're just making up stuff as you go along
No,
and getting completely
incorrect.
confused.
Incorrect. I'm getting this straight out of a book called Experimentation and Measurement by W.
by
J.
measurement. There, do you
Uden.
see that measurement? There you go.
No, experimentation and measurement.
Yeah, but the measurement part doesn't
Yeah,
by
I'll
doing
put
something
it-
multiple times doesn't make it an
I'll-
experiment. You're
But
completely
I'll put it
Rumpus,
in the
they mean
chat.
and
I'll
or,
put it in the
Rumpus.
chat.
They mean and
All right,
or.
thanks, Glenn.
You're chatting shit. It's
I mean,
a
just
NIST.
unbelievably stupid.
You are.
Why is
You've
it
got the
important to
strange
you to
definition.
define
Saying that a
observation
measurement
as a part
is
of
not an
science,
experiment, and it
Rumpus?
is. It's all
Why is
part
it-
and parcel.
why is it
That's
important?
the definition of science.
And or what is the difference? What's the difference between those?
Studying the physical and natural world is science, and then there are multiple methods of doing that. But that is the definition of science.
Is it measurements and
Just
Yes, but they don't have to happen at the same
Guys,
time.
just go through life with a tape measurement and you're a scientist. There you go.
Yeah, if you did something clever, yeah, if you did something novel, but if you did something back, if you did it in a very, if you did it in a
Measurements
formal
is
way,
science.
if you did it in an
Measurements is science.
exact
Shut the
way,
hell up.
if you had gone, if you were in the 16th century, if you were in the early 20th century, and you went to and measured the mass of a proton, you would probably get a Nobel Prize for science.
Nobody's talking about a proton. You imbecile.
is
What's the-
geography not science?
And,
Yeah, of course.
and or.
Geography
there is geographic
is
No,
science.
geography is not science. Geography, you said
Why?
it. It's geography.
I call it the science of making maps.
Holy shit.
I call it science of making maps, dude. They varied which direction they went. They had a controlled ruler and a varied direction. Sounds like an
That's
experiment by
called
your definition to me,
geography.
genius. Sounds like an experiment to me. What happens if I go in this direction? What happens if I go in that
about
direction?
the science of maths,
That's
and I think
the variable. That's
normally
the-
geometry.
Whoa,
Normally
it's hard
geometry
to
is
put
described
science
as being
in
slightly
everyday,
different.
in the everyday language and apply it everywhere. So hard.
I mean, you're an utter moron. Who is that moron who keeps making these stupid comments occasionally?
Yeah,
So
have you guys
you're
ever
right
seen
after
this little infographic here? This is from
What about this plane, Boeing 747?
yeah, XO. I don't know the XO.
You're showing a picture of a plane and the space station on screen. Is that what you mean to be showing?
Yeah. So here's two pictures of the moon. One with the ISS.
Space. Yeah.
One with a 747 or plane.
Right.
So it just says commercial airplane.
Right.
And one is supposed to be 253 miles up. One is 7.2. And then they're comparing the size of these.
Yeah.
And they do seem pretty comparable from here.
Yep.
What am I missing? Why would these look almost the same size?
Because that idiot, whoever was made up this diagram, has said the distance is 7.2 miles up, but doesn't mention how far it is away horizontally. What an utter moron!
Well, wait a minute. It can only be, if it's 7.2 miles up, what's the max it can be?
It could be hundreds of miles away. You
I
can
see what you're saying.
on
So
the
if you see it from
horizon,
like hundreds of miles away, I
away.
I gotcha.
What a stupid wanker who made up that picture.
The best way,
utter moron.
the best way that
Give
you
me
can
his
tell
number,
is
I'll
that
go
you
around and
can't
beat some sense into him.
you can't necessarily see the wings here, so you are seeing it almost perfectly horizontal, or at least
So,
pretty
Steve
close
Brandon,
to horizontally.
He doesn't know anything about the picture and he already claimed winning.
So it's just
Right?
The fact that we're
That's a
seeing the
huge
plane
problem,
edge
right?
on,
You don't know if
the
that guy
fact that
was
we're seeing
below-
the plane edge on tells you it's on the horizon and many,
Rumpus.
many miles away.
Especially if it's up in the air, it has to be very
The
clear.
ISS can be horizontally away from you also, right? Or the ISS
Yeah, of course,
is
yeah.
away from you too.
No, you can only see the ISS when it's high in the sky.
Rumpus, what evidence do you have that you
Huh?
can see an airplane hundreds of miles away?
Well, okay, that's
But hey, Rumpus,
this
you just
picture
said
would be
something
evidence.
stupid.
well. Normally, when you see it,
You lose it at 200 miles, Rumpus, mate.
Actually, there's an easy way to do this.
By eye,
You
should
get
I
on
say.
if you get on FlightAware, okay, go to any airplane that you see on FlightAware around you and look at it exactly. FlightAware will tell you exactly how far away that one is from you. You can easily see one about 60 miles away.
I suggest another method. Let's try to figure out the angular size of the airplane, and we'll know how far it is.
Knock yourself out, Chuck.
Yeah, I need clear pictures. To
So
compare it.
I think in general, like, I think these are interesting pictures, Brandon. But I think the information obviously is super incomplete. But it would be worth investigating had we had more information.
Yeah,
fact that we
would
can see
need
the
to
plane
know
edge
the
on
actual
means it's on the
distance to
horizon,
the
which means
plane,
it's
Nah,
not
hundreds of
that's
just how
miles
high
away.
it
nonsense,
is
Rumpus. It could
above
be
the Earth.
so far away,
Yeah.
45 degrees, mate. You're talking nonsense. It's in the shadow. It's black, mate. Come on. The
What
wing
are
could be
you
hidden
talking to me?
within the body. Yeah. You're
No, it
talking
could be.
nonsense.
It could be,
The wing
Gleam,
is...
but we don't know. That's the
idiotic
Yeah,
point.
point?
exactly that. You're just
No,
winging
that's
it.
the point. We
idiotic
don't know.
point?
We don't have enough information to
Exactly.
form a
So
conclusion.
don't go
right?
all in. Don't go all in on
Yeah,
something
no,
that
guys,
you just said.
So
Oh, it
whoever
could be
this,
this.
someone's proposing this is
Nobody went all in.
Rumpus
this
just went all
conclusive
in.
proof of a
Oh,
flat
Rumpus
Earth or
might.
something.
I know.
You're right.
That's
And
this
the fact
conversation.
that we can see the plane is edge on means we are. It's a long, long way
How
on the
do you know
horizon.
it's edge on?
And it can be hundreds of miles away when it's on the horizon.
No
in
one
So
put
shadow,
there's
this
no
forward
proof of
as
anything. And the fact that
conclusive
someone
evidence
thinks
of
it's a
flat
proof
Earth.
makes them a
What are you talking
moron.
about?
Or it
They've
could
only,
be closer, right?
they've only
Rumpus?
considered a plane that's directly above you, when it's
Rumpus, or
obviously
it could
not.
be closer, right?
The
Or
guy's
it
a
could be
moron.
closer. Or it could be closer, right, Rumpus?
So Gleam, the
No, we're
possibility
seeing the
that
plane edge on, and it's
Yeah.
going straight, and so it's liable to be on the horizon, and
Yeah.
that makes it hundreds of miles away. So this
No,
guy
you're
is
wrong.
presumably
Right
is
there, you're
making a
wrong.
case of
That
saying
fucking
this is
assertion
some
is
sort of
stupid.
infallible proof for it
Hundreds
to
of
be
miles
pursued.
sounds like
And it's
bullshit,
clearly not
Rumpus.
infallible proof because I've just
Well,
That
Rumpus, they
demonstrated
did
assertion
it
that
do
there's
alone
a
is
problem with
bullshit,
it.
Rumpus.
You
Please
just winged
concede that.
something, you said.
Rumpus, I heard them being flexible.
This is not proof of anything, and I've just invalidated it as proof.
But
No, you
Rumpus,
haven't.
you
You just guessed
are
something
being
that could be
hyperbolic.
something.
You're
entirely
saying this has to
compatible
be
with
hundreds of
those-
miles away. That's not
Yes.
true.
It is because we know these things are the same size. What we're seeing is entirely compatible with the diagram below that you've
You're
got
getting
at the
too
bottom.
excited, mate. You're getting too excited.
Well,
No
I've got
one's
a
saying
moron-
this
well, I've got
debunks
this
everything.
stupid
That could be a
diagram on
lie.
screen which presumably claims to invalidate the size
It's
of
a
the ISS
question.
when it clearly doesn't.
No, it's a question.
But it's stupid. The moron who's proposing this is in any way evidence of anything is a moron because I've just demonstrated that this has to be because
You
we're
haven't.
edge
You
on,
just said
and a
something
plane can
without
be
the
on the
knowledge.
horizon. And this moron thinks that
You haven't
7.2
demonstrated
miles. He says
anything.
here he clearly
Yeah, but
thinks
it
that
could not be on the
7.2
horizon.
miles is how far the airplane can be away. That is completely and utterly wrong.
Does this
But it
scare
could
you,
but
Rumpus?
not
I don't
be
know why
on
you're
the
being so.
horizon, bruv.
The guy's a moron. He's put in the distance there of 7.2 miles. He clearly thinks that the distance to the plane is 7 miles and the distance to the ISS is
Why can't it
253
be?
miles. That's why he's put it in there.
No, he
And
just
Why
puts
I
can't
the
it
have
just
just
height.
pointed
taken
out.
off?
What?
It's incomplete.
Why can't it
Agreed.
just taken off on the horizon at 7.2
The point
miles?
is, he's saying it has to be 7.2 miles
Yeah,
to
it could be.
invalidate the
Could
bottom
be.
diagram.
Just come
and
off
it
the
clearly isn't.
No, it could be. Just come off the
No,
floor.
it couldn't.
He's at the end of a
No,
runway.
he's trying to present whoever made this Morag diagram is saying that
Yeah,
the
but
plane
no,
is 7.
what you're saying is valid.
Listen, he's
And
saying
it could have just took
saying
off
that the
and
plane
72
has to be
miles.
7.2 miles away. That's
It
the
can be.
point of this
Chill
diagram.
out, Rumpus.
And he
Chill
then
out.
said
Chill.
that the ISS has to
No,
be 253
it
miles
can't
away.
be. It
So
can't
it's
No, it
be.
not
can be.
proof of anything.
Who
No,
said
until we
it's
know
proof of
further
anything?
information, you cannot
That's not how
conclude
airplane
anything.
take off. That's
Those
not
two,
how they
all those
take off.
pictures are consistent and compatible with
Chike.
one another.
This is the longest
Shut up.
conversation about
Did
something
you
we all
see
agree there's not
airplanes
enough
take
information for.
Well,
No,
I
but
don't
the
know
point
why
is the
Rumpus is
guy who
getting
made the
so
bio-
fucking
the point
excited.
is the
Coming into
guy who made
land.
the diagram
Shut
up.
thinks that the aeroplane was 7 miles away
see,
when
Bio,
it
the
clearly
problem-
isn't.
You
That's
just
the problem.
don't
Bio, that
know.
we have in
It's not
here is that
clearly
We
Rumpus is
do
isn't.
not
know
able
it's
to
not
It's been
7.2
cropped
miles
for a
because it's saying it
start.
edge on.
It's cropped. No, you're seeing
That's
it as a
irrelevant, it's
silhouette.
cropped.
You
Oh
can
my
see the
God.
wing, so it could be tilting down slightly.
Sort
You
of,
don't
sort
know.
of. What we can clearly see is a tail. I posted it in chat, very
Yeah.
zoomed in, and you can
Yeah.
see it essentially horizontally. It doesn't seem to be at any angle. You can see the tail.
wing poking down.
Right, sort of. You can sort of see the wing. I
Sort of.
agree.
You can see pixels
I know,
breaching.
but listen,
Come on.
listen. What I'm saying is, you can clearly see the tail upright. You can clearly see that. We can maybe see the wing.
You would see it
starting
upright
to
if
poke
it was
out.
40
We know that it's
45
horizontal and it
degrees
seems to
pointing
be
to you.
straight and level. It may be tilted left or right. It
How
may
much-
be rolling left
I'm
or right
gonna-
a bit, but
Bio.
we know it's generally straight and level because
Man,
it's so
you
hard to
guys.
see the wings. But it's
No,
easy
you're
to
winging
see
it.
that
You're
tail
winging
up.
it. You're winging it.
But again,
You're winging it.
All right,
You're
hold
not
on,
winging
hold
it.
on. Glenn, let me answer you.
Wait, don't answer. I want the picture in chat. I want to see the picture.
DMOC has been
okay?
asking these people for the tilt on buildings, and they say, "How much do you expect to see on those distances?" And now Bio comes with this shit and telling
What did I
us
come with, man?
that there's no tilt or anything.
Do
What the
you
fuck is
expect
wrong with you,
Silent,
Bio?
silent, silent.
How much do you expect to
On
see
the
on
tail,
something
you say the
50
tail
miles
is
away?
straight
So
up.
fucking random, man.
How
Now
the
we
fuck do
have
you
no
know that?
information for distance, and now you want to start talking about a tilt of it. There's not enough
Well,
information
you're
to
the
say
one
either way
saying
of
that shit
anything,
is straight.
Silent.
You're saying
Yeah,
that
that's
that's
100 miles away,
you
remember?
know that.
If you want to come to some random conclusion, that's fine. But we have no information to form any conclusion.
Then
So
why
all
you
of this
make
discussion is
assertions?
worthless.
Why does Rumpus make assertions about being hundreds of miles
Right.
away?
Everyone's
Why
making
do you
assertions.
support him? Why do you bring this shit?
Because
No, hold on,
the
Rumpus. Hey,
argument in the
let me
picture is
back up
wrong.
Rumpus here.
The argument in the
you've just
picture
put-
relies on the fact that the
you've
aeroplane is
just put an
7 miles
argument
away.
back to it.
That's
That's
the
all.
point the guy who
You haven't
made the
proved
pictures
nothing.
is. He's claiming that the aeroplane is 7 miles away. That's the
can be.
argument of this diagram. And
It
he's
can be.
utterly wrong. He
You don't know
hasn't
that,
considered
Rumpus.
the
It could be cropped.
horizontal
It could be
displacement.
cropped. It could be
Okay,
cropped.
let me back
edited, yeah.
let me
It
back
could be
let me
cropped.
back Rumpus
And
up.
he's
Hey,
just at the other end
Who
of
cares whether it's cropped? It
a
doesn't
highway.
have any bearing on what I've said. No
It does.
bearing whatsoever, you
It does.
moron.
It does. You cannot make that.
Okay,
You
let me
cannot make
back
that
up.
decision.
He's making the claim that the plane has to be 7 miles away, and that is invalid.
You're reading a lot into this. All it says
No,
is
you're
maximum
an
height
invalid.
Yeah,
7.2
he's
miles.
making the claim by making this diagram. He's clearly saying, "Oh, look, on the left-hand side we've got this thing's comparable size as 253 miles away, and on the right-hand side we've got something same size at 7.2 miles away. How can they be so similar?" And the point is, the moron is claiming that the aeroplane is 7.2 miles away. And he's wrong in that because he doesn't understand basic geometry.
Yeah, we all get that. Can I hear the show host on why he was saying the flexible position you was talking about, Brandon? Well, this dude's done stating the fucking obvious.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, we don't know how
Yeah.
far away this plane is. For Rumpus to sit there and
Whereas
say,
the
hun-
diagram is claiming
yeah,
we
but at the
do.
same
The
time,
whole point of the diagram is it's saying it's 7 miles away.
Rumpus, for you to also sit there and say that it's hundreds of miles away, though,
It
and
is
you're
hundreds of miles
just
away.
getting so excited. It's just
It is hundreds of miles
strange.
away.
What if it's
No, it's not.
20,000 foot in the air?
Because this is the sort of
And you're at
crap argument
45
made by
degrees.
morons. Because what
We
the
can do the
guy's
math on
clearly
that.
saying
I'll do it
is
right
that if
now.
those two things are the same size, how can
gonna
that
be
be?
about that.
And I've got an immediate answer to this, and this whole diagram makes no point at all, and I've demonstrated that. And the fact that it's been presented.
Rumpus, you've repeated it ad nauseum.
So how- yeah, but you don't seem to have taken this on board. You should be saying to yourself,
and seen
yeah,
by everybody. We
that
all know
it's
your immediate
clearly
answer,
not
bro.
7 miles away.
Bro,
It
It doesn't claim the distance, it claims
Yes, he
the
does. It's
altitude.
implied in what he's saying. Otherwise, he wouldn't have created the diagram.
Rumpus,
The
it
diagram
says
is clearly
altitude.
implying it's 7 miles away. How do we account for that?
says
He's saying.
altitude.
He's obviously asking someone to account for this, and I just did with a nanosecond's thought.
Well, but
This
you
is true. We should
also
support
agreed
Rumpus in
that
that.
you don't know how far away the ISS is horizontally. You don't know. It doesn't
He's
necessarily
making
have
the
to be
claim.
right
He's trying to say
overhead.
that the ISS
It
and
says
that plane.
altitude.
He's going to repeat it again. Rumpus, this is why I mute you.
He's saying those images are not compatible with reality, or they're not compatible with
It
what we're
doesn't
saying
say
about the
that
sizes of
anywhere
things.
on that little infographic.
Of course, he's implying that. It's an anti-ISS thing, and he's obviously saying, how can we account for the fact that this is 7 miles away and 253 miles away, yet they're the same
Anti-ISS.
size?
It
That's
has a
what he's.
picture of
That's the
ISS.
message in the diagram.
Brandon,
This picture has come up many times, by the way. This isn't the first time. I've seen this many times. So there is an argument, and people have discussed this at length. So when it's presented, it's kind of. I remember the argument. I'm going to speak to my points that I had brought up before.
Oh, okay.
Brandon, didn't you kind of bring it up that way though,
Did
Brandon?
you do that calculation though, Bayer?
No, I
Yeah,
just
so
brought it
if
up and
it's-
said, hey, what do you guys think about this? That's all.
Yeah, it's bollocks.
If
Well, I
if
would
it's
agree with
if it's a flat Earth and it's 20,000 miles in the sky, and you're looking at
No,
45 degrees.
20,000 foot.
Yeah, 20. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry, 20,000 feet elevation, and your observer angle is 45 degrees. It's about 28,000 feet from your eyeballs, so about 5 miles from you.
This diagram makes no point at all.
So,
A little bit
so-
more than 5.
So it could be exactly that 30,000 foot, a little bit further away, 7.2
But
miles.
I can
You
also
get
say,
that.
what if it's at an altitude of 25,000
Exactly.
feet?
No,
Well,
that's
I
the
know.
thing.
Right,
And he's
exactly.
gone all
No
in on
information.
just saying, nah, it definitely isn't 7.2 when it
Yeah,
could
but
have
this
been.
diagram's not making a point, then, is it? There's no proof. There's
No,
no.
you're not making a point. That's the
I
point.
am. I'm making the point. This diagram shows and proves nothing.
Is there one like this
Does
out
it
there
actually
that
say
has
this,
the actual?
this is peer reviewed and it proves something? No.
It's clearly been put
a meme.
together to invalidate the ISS.
Is there one out there
Obviously.
that is similar to this that has the actual locations where the pictures were taken and the?
I don't
the
think
flight
so.
data?
Not that I've seen.
That'd be
I think
interesting.
whoever built this was being a little dishonest and trying to be sensationalize the observation. But as far as the numbers and the actual data, I don't think it's available.
Now let's just pretend though, Rumpus. Now that we know that a triangle is possible, that we could get 7.2 miles on a hypotenuse, yeah, if it was about 30,000 foot, a bit away, and it would look, due to perspective, as if it was side on because it's far
No,
in
it
the
wouldn't.
distance near the horizon.
No, it wouldn't.
So now reconcile
wouldn't.
it.
But it's not.
In
This
the land of
diagram,
possibilities,
as
everything is
presented,
possible.
proves nothing, and we can see that it.
No,
as well as
let's
not
just
bringing
say it's right. Let's just say
No,
the
it's not
information's
right.
right.
It's not
How do you
right.
know? How
There's
do you
nothing,
know?
no
You don't
information in
know,
this
do you?
diagram at all. There is
You
no valid
there is.
information
There's
in
the
this diagram
actual
that I
the actual
cannot
measurements
explain
of the ISS.
with being compatible
So
with
the
the
ISS
ISS
is
and
wrong.
the plane.
The
This
ISS
we don't
diagram
even
is
have the
entirely
angle.
compatible with known facts.
We don't even
and
have the
clearly
angle
the
to the
fact that
ISS
the
here.
aeroplane is side on indicates that it's on the horizon, which confirms my
This is
position.
how much of a
It's
panic state you
hundreds
are.
of miles away.
You're chatting nonsense.
We don't have the
You're
angle
a
for
moron. If
either.
you can't see
We
the
have no
flaw in that,
comparison
you're a
for
moron.
Nonsense.
This
No,
diagram, what is
you're-
on screen, is entirely compatible.
The flaw
with the
is you're
recognised-
saying it definitely cannot be that, and it can be.
No,
That's
it can't
the
be.
flaw.
We
How do you
know that the
know?
ISS is that size.
How do you know?
We know
Okay,
the
tell me
size of Boeing
what it is then.
747.
Tell me
Therefore,
exactly what it
we
is if you know
that
it
the
isn't that.
aeroplane is hundreds of miles away. And what's more, we also know that from another point, the fact that
How do
it's
you know?
horizontal
How do
to
you know?
us. So
How do you know?
that gives
I
us
need to know
another
your
clue
sources.
to the fact that it's
What's your
horizontal to us
sources?
and hundreds of miles.
You know what? You know
What's
what
your
would
source?
be interesting. You know what would be interesting
Basic
is that
geometry. I
we
mean, if
have.
you can't do that,
No,
I've just
show me it.
demonstrated the geometry.
Show me it right now. Show me your
real quick.
basic
I have. I've
geometry as a
demonstrated the
source.
reasoning.
As a source of how far that is away. I need to know.
The fact that it's horizontal
No, I
means
need to
that
know
it's
how
a
far
long
it's away.
way
Show me the geometry.
When you have
not
planes
words.
that are above you,
Rumpus,
they don't
stop talking.
look like
Start
that.
geometry in. Start geometry
The
in, bro.
plane
because we have
is
the
Do you know
edge
geometry?
on. The plane is edge on.
Tell me how far it
and
is
that
then.
means
Tell me how
that
far
it
it is.
has
If you
to
can't
be
tell me how far it
hundreds
is, you
of
don't know,
miles
do
away.
you?
I have
don't
a
know.
solution to maybe finding
You
out the
don't know.
distance
That's
to
a
it.
long way
You're a
of saying you
moron,
don't
Freeman.
know.
You're a moron.
I have
No,
a,
that's
I
a long
think I
way
have
of
a
saying you
This,
solution.
don't know,
this
mate.
I think I have
diagram,
a
if you think
solution.
this diagram proves anything, you're a moron. I've demonstrated
I don't.
that it's
I don't.
entirely
And that's what I'm
compatible.
telling you. And you're telling me.
If
No,
this is a
I'm
dick
not.
measuring contest, I'll
It's
bow out, but I
you.
think I have a
You're the
solution.
one
Go ahead,
advocating for
Biodil. What do you
diagrams.
think? What's
I'm
your
a moron.
solution?
I think because we have the
You know
arc,
nothing.
assuming that the right side is the moon. I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm kind of fine conceding that. Since we have the arc there, we can determine the angular size of the moon due to that, and then as well as comparing the amount of pixels within that area of the plane itself, assuming that the plane is actually a Boeing 747 and using those dimensions, I think we could determine an angular size, and then because of that compared to the actual size of the plane, I think we can determine how far it is.
Do it. That's what
How
I'm
much
asking.
of the arc
you
is
see-
physical and how much of it is optical?
You see the little crater on the top of the sea of whatever it is there? Up
Under
there
the trail?
called Plato? No.
Right here? Here?
Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I don't see a screen.
Oh, you guys can't see my mouse anyway, can you?
Oh, we can.
A bit right to the airplane and below
under the trail.
Under the trail. There is a crater called Plato. Its diameter is 101 kilometers. The airplane is about 2 of them. Now find the angular size of Plato, double it by twice. It's the angular size of the airplane. See how far it is.
Yeah, that's another way. Sure, a number of methodologies. So we could, assuming that the photo is authentic. Yeah.
So we shouldn't really just say we know everything about it straight away and throw it out. We should just calculate it, and then that would be knowing about it, wouldn't it?
Right. And instead of everyone getting so heated over basically nothing, it seems like we have possible solutions to investigate it further.
Why would we take the possible solutions? Let's just throw those out, because then we can make sure that nothing progresses.
It would be interesting to investigate it and have accurate, or at least what we would think is accurate, making a few assumptions.
How big do you say
There you
that?
go. What
Crater
you think
was?
it would be accurate. Yeah, that's
What
the
was
word.
that? How big was that crater?
101 kilometers.
It would be accurate enough for the discussion, Silent, because right now we basically have nothing. What we have is 2 pictures and we have dimensions of 2 objects. The numbers that are provided are basically worthless, but we can extrapolate from that and get more information. It may not be exact, but it's going to be better than what we have right now.
And are
Well,
you
if you
aware
make
that
assumptions, maybe, but
There's a
no
few
way
assumptions,
you
but
can
we'd have to agree.
are you aware you've got
We
to
didn't
account
bring this
for the
picture,
maths?
did we?
No, you got to account for the maths. It was a strawberry supermoon that night. Remember that? You know the
Quite
factor?
possibly. Do we have a link to the original picture on the right?
No, that's the point. You're not gonna
Right.
get
That's
anything
what I'm
from it.
saying. Assuming it's authentic and nothing extra.
It's authentic, but it's a picture that someone's done into a meme. I don't understand why
Sure,
Bumpers had
that's
a
the
panic
original.
attack thinking this was published in the Royal Society, and they brought it out, and it was a full article, been peer reviewed, and
The people that
everything.
do present this, though, they make the strong argument of we shouldn't see this because only 7 miles, only 253. They're the same size in reality, but look how blah blah blah. It's been presented before. It's not a new picture. Maybe that's why, but yeah, the reaction to it was pretty overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, I'd say to calculate it would be the best thing. I mean, that I'd just
Glean,
say
they're
that's an
living. Their whole
experiment.
life is living in an excuse. They're living. Their world is a fucking big excuse.
Yeah,
We show them. I mean, what else could we show them, dude? I show them a 700-mile straight line, and they deny it, bro. They're living
Brian,
in denial.
this
They're
picture-
scared men, bro. They're scared little men.
Brian,
you haven't shown us anything, Brian. You haven't shown us a single picture as far as I'm aware.
Brian, this picture, do you think it's good for either side in any sense?
Funny enough, I'm not looking at it. I was sweeping, but I'm just listening to all the excuses y'all making. It's hideous, dude. Y'all are scared little men, dude.
You're the only one who makes excuses.
No, he's right. He's absolutely right. It is really pitiful to hear
Well,
when you've got the upper hand, Rumpus.
Yeah,
You've got the upper hand, mate.
I'm having to deal with
you got
more
two
of
things
the
happening,
Rubbish,
mate.
you made the concession that it could be
and I've
accurate.
invalidated it, and you don't seem to understand I've
Rubbish,
invalidated
you
it.
made the concession that it could be accurate, but you wouldn't entertain it because you're a scared little man.
No, it's not. It cannot be accurate. What? This picture is greaser compatible, and it agrees at the.
Okay, so now it can't be cropped, and there's no possibility at
cropping
all
is
of it being
irrelevant.
accurate now.
Could
That
you
means
ever be wrong?
Cropping arguments are utterly ridiculous. It has nothing to do with anything.
Could you be wrong, Rumpus, ever?
No, I'm completely correct, as usual.
We proved you couldn't be.
As
before.
always. In fact,
Ionosphere, remember? Do we remember
that
the
was correct.
ionosphere?
Everything I said about that was correct.
Nonsense.
No, you don't know. Everything I said
It
about that
doesn't
was correct.
stop reflecting at all.
It takes credibility when you talk like this, Rumpus.
I was correct in saying that it was ionized more in the day.
This man is scared to be wrong. He is
You said
scared
it stops in the day.
to be wrong.
So
He
you're
is
claiming then
a
I was
scared man.
wrong when I said that the
Who
atmosphere was
gives a fuck?
ionized in the daylight. You're
You
saying that was wrong,
can't
are
be
you?
wrong, bro.
Well, you
What
have
would happen
said
if you were ever wrong, Rumpus? You're
you
scared
have
to be
said
wrong.
that if you
Then
were
you
wrong
make a
about
confuse between the
if you were wrong
reflection.
about
You
the
must
shape
make
of the
a confuse
Earth, you have told us that that would be devastating. So you are afraid to be wrong. It sounds like.
It is. You've got a wrongophobia.
yeah, I don't want to be wrong. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to be wrong.
That's what they say. True Dunning-Kruger actually is.
Well, they
Fear of being
also say
wrong?
Glean's a moron.
No. I mean that is. I mean, no disrespect to you, but that is it. It is literally our abilities. Yeah, you're overrating yours, saying that you can never be wrong. Impossible,
well,
mate. That's impossible. Scientifically impossible.
Fortunately, you're correct.
That's
in saying that. You're
pseudoscience,
actually
mate.
correct in saying that. But yes, in this environment,
No,
get so
shut up.
close- I
No,
get so
shut
close
up.
to being
No,
right all the
there's no.
time.
That's
but,
something someone with Dunning-Kruger would say
there's
too.
But if I
truth
was having
and
to have
there's
a debate with
truth.
Stephen Hawking or something, then yes, I would. The point is, I don't make claims. I mean, I wouldn't make claims about if I was dealing with a physicist. I just would keep my gob shut. If I was dealing with Sean Carroll, for instance, I wouldn't make any claims in contrast to him. I'd just keep my
Appeal
gob
to
shut. and just
authority.
listen.
Do you see
Just
this
shut up,
graph?
Rumpus.
Gleam, do you see this?
Be a human.
This graph?
No, this is
Yeah,
Look
we
at
see
what's
the
at
graph.
the apex. I know
That's it.
everything.
but I don't make that claim. I just say I'm right about everything. I don't claim to know. If I don't know about something, I don't make a claim about it. That's very different. You didn't understand what I said.
Okay.
But you just
Also,
made a claim about this little picture that you knew nothing
Yes, and
about,
I'm absolutely
brother.
correct. And I'm
Oh
Rumpus,
absolutely
give me
my
one
God.
example of when you said
And
you
I
didn't
know
know.
everything.
I
And
know
I
you
know
didn't.
everything.
I've never
and
said I know
Rumpus,
everything.
give me an example. Rumpus,
I've never even implied that ever.
Rumpus,
Go
give me an
round
example
in
of
the
when your
cycle.
answer was you didn't know. Give me one example of that, please, just so
I
you got some integrity.
said that a lot. I say that a
What?
lot.
What argument? What argument on this channel have you ever said? Well, I don't know.
I have many times I've said that on this channel.
I just want one example for your
I
integrity's
can't give
sake.
you a date. I can't,
Then you
I
can't give me any integrity.
You are like a professional at photography. You're a professional
No,
at
I've never claimed that.
theodolites. No,
I've never
you
claimed that.
you were teaching Brian about theodolites. You're teaching.
Oh, I was doing that, but that doesn't involve me having to be an expert in theodolites.
Yeah, but you're teaching people like
He ain't
Plain
never used
Truth
that.
about
He ain't
photography,
teaching me.
and he's out there every day. You know what I mean? He's put
Teaching who?
more
Sorry,
hours in
teaching
it.
who about photography?
Plain Truth. He's had
Oh
more
my God! Yeah,
experience than
that's
anyone
right.
in here.
That's right. I mean, a few months ago, I was having to explain to him how lenses
No, but this is the
work.
thing.
He
No,
didn't
you're not getting
understand
it. You're not
basic
getting
parts
it,
of his own
Rumpus.
camera. I had to explain
You're
to him in
not
great
getting it.
detail various
Rumpus.
aspects of how his camera worked because he didn't understand it. So
You're not
yes, he's
getting it.
not an expert. Just because he's taken lots of pictures does
No,
not
exactly.
make him an expert.
Yeah, but
I
you're
had to
not an
explain to him
expert.
a number of
How are you
fundamental
an
parts of his
expert?
camera work
Sorry, how are you
and
an
how to take
expert?
photographs.
Speaks while a wise
How are
man
you an
listens.
expert? How are
Rumpus
you
is
an
the fool
expert?
who speaks.
Do you
Anyway,
know
I'm trying to-
everything again? Is this I know
No, I've
everything
absolutely
again?
said I don't. I've
Are
said
you
that
an
many
expert?
times.
Have you got qualifications? Because magnetic deflection was the only qualification I remember you having.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
You
Qualifications.
done
for
a
what?
you done a thesis, didn't you, in the magnetic field deflection?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. That's all I remember you having. I didn't know you were
Rumpus,
a
how many
professional
miles am I away from the
photographer.
equator? Hey, Rumpus, how many miles am I from the
Where are we
equator if I'm
going,
at
by the
30
way,
degrees?
with
If I'm at
this
33
question?
degrees latitude, I'm at 33 degrees north latitude. How many miles from the equator am I, Rumpus?
33 times 16, isn't it? 2,277.
He's got better, folks. You look at Rumpus versus basic math. Croix, he asked him at 35 degrees, how many miles would he be from the equator? Twice. He couldn't answer it, man. So at least you're getting
That's
better.
rubbish.
All right.
Absolute drivel. You just
Yes,
made that
Okay.
up.
Watch my video. Anybody who thinks I'm lying, watch my video. He never, in 10 minutes, gave the answer. He kept saying, let's see, for 10 minutes. Jose
By the
ended the
way-
show because he couldn't give an answer.
Brian
must be
Leaky,
getting
why are you
confused. You're
bringing
getting
that up?
confused. Subject matter.
Why are you bringing that up, Brian Leaky?
Dude, because he says he's never wrong. Then he turns around the next breath and says he admits when he's wrong. I asked for one example of,
No, I
of
said
when
I
he's
admit
done
when I
that.
didn't know the answer.
He says he's done it
You're
plenty of times,
confusing
but he
things
can't give an
again.
example.
I
I'm trying to
said
help
you
you with
asked me
your
about whether I
personality,
didn't
bro.
know something, and now you're saying about whether I was wrong or not. Make up your mind.
I'm
which
trying to
point
help
you're
you with your
making.
personality in general, man.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're being a moron. And I do not believe you what you said is correct. If I was evasive for 10 minutes about something, I'm probably saying I didn't know it. I don't know what.
Rumpus, I'm going to post a video.
I bet the
I'm gonna
question
post a
was much
video.
more. I suspect the question was much more complicated than that, or I was having a
No,
migraine.
it
I don't
wasn't.
know.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I'm going to post a video in general for anybody who wants to see Rumpus's common sense.
Jolly good.
By the
Well,
way,
all right, Rumpus,
Anyway, I'm
we
trying to
geeked
work
out
out
for a
the size
little
of
bit.
this aeroplane.
I do have a question for you though. How is your experiment coming?
Right. Well, okay. I had a bit of a.
Or is it a measurement? Let's get this straight.
It's actually
now.
it's actually an observation, though you can argue. It's
Is
an
it a
experiment
measurement?
becau- It
No,
is
it's a
a measurement, but
measurement.
actually you can
Yeah,
argue
it's
it's
a
also an
measurement.
experiment because
No, we can't have this.
Yeah,
No,
be quiet.
not having
Can
it
you
on
stop
your
interrupting?
standards.
Can you stop interrupting? me?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah,
sorry.
great. Because I am actually doing these 4 posts, so you can argue do have an independent variable. That's the distance from the observer, and then I get a distance and I get a drop. So it is actually an experiment. Yes. I've been struggling. I've had 4 or 5 people helping me, and I've got 2 posts in place. But we had to spend. We spent the 4 of us were taking one of these 25-foot posts through these 3-foot nettles and things in hot weather, and the 4 of us managed to get. It was just amazing bloody trauma. And we threw about just trying to go through 2 kilometers because I had to walk from one end because the access is very poor. At least we thought it was. Well, in effect, at the time, going from one end is very poor access, and you have to struggle through 3-foot bloody nettles for 2 hours. 4 of us, and one of us collapsed because it was so physically demanding. But we managed to get it into place in the end, and then the next week, which was 2 weeks ago, we managed to get the other post in place, which was also a trauma, and I got bloody interfered with by a tractor guy who, and
It's
then we
tough. I bet, dude. Gloves are off, guys. I just posted in general Rumpus versus multiplication and common sense. This is going to demonstrate Rumpus's comprehension skill. It's Friday Night Fights. Gloves are off.
So then the week after that, I managed to get post halfway to where it was going to be the third post 3. So there are 4 posts. There's an observation place, the 4 posts, and the third one I managed to get close to it, but didn't get the target in place. And then the week after that, 3 of us with one of the observation thing, we tried to raise post 3 and get it seen to see if we could actually see the damn thing. But unfortunately, it was so tall, and unfortunately there was a key component that I didn't have with me. It was at the site of the other post, which I couldn't get to because a bloody farmer and a tractor decided to spend his entire day around that. I didn't want to annoy him.
You're going to get biased results, and you damn well know it.
Right, and then it turned out where we dumped the post 4. We finally got to it on the last occasion. And it turned out this tractor had mown through all this about 6 foot wide channel through these 3 foot high nettles and grass and God knows what else. And he almost ran over. Well, he actually did. He went round. Clearly, in this tractor, whatever it was, he's using to cut the grass because there's a huge bank, as I covered in. The bank is about 60 feet wide, and this guy with this tractor came along and he saw this 25-foot post and tube and other stuff and equipment with it, and he actually went round it. And I thought the previous week when I'd seen them mown the bank near the bridge side, I thought, oh my God, they've probably run over the other bit. We never got to it that week, but last week we did get to it, and in fact the tractor had in fact nearly run over it. So unfortunately, so the upshot is, I have got 2 posts, 2 25-foot posts in place, but I haven't got them with their targets. I haven't established whether I can see them, whether there's a potential tree in the way. So that is a start. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you. And it's a big struggle, and these trying to move around the collars and the things I had to make. At
least you're out doing it, man. Rumpus, I give you, at least you're out there doing this. Let me tell you what's going to happen. I can say this with 100% certainty. What you see in the distance will vary, and it will be based on refraction, not Earth curvature. So be honest in your results, please.
We will, and that's the reason why, also as part of the equipment we were taking there, which I took, I think, 2 weeks ago. But
dude, you could go down in history, man, if you could prove this.
I'm about to, and it'll be all live streamed. It'll be all live streamed, Brian. So you will be able to see live us erecting this post, raising the targets, and also we'll be showing you the temperature gradient, vertical temperature gradient, in 4 posts along this thing, and you will be able to say, "Oh, look, Rumpus, you need to do this or that." Or
okay, Rumpus, but listen, if you get other results, Rumpus, be honest with them. Don't hide them. Listen, you can go down in history.
See them.
Let's just listen to me finish. Goddamn, dude.
I think you should raise it and lower it.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I finish a sentence, please?
Go ahead.
You could go.
Raise it above
you could go down in history, dude. You're just loud enough to make a voice. And you know that something's wrong with Starlink, so you need to research into Starlink. You know that the satellites way off to the right and way off to the left should overdo Earth curve, exaggerate Earth curve, and I think you know that deep down. So I want you to be honest with your results and make a loud enough stink. Be honest, man, and let's just get this debate best arguing for the globe. You know the whole flat Earth argument.
You will be able to see everything. You'll be able to see people at the posts, raising the posts. You will see the position on the live streaming of the camera looking at them. You will also see the view through an auto level, looking along thing. And what's more, I've got a water level there as well, which will also verify what the auto level is doing. And you will be able to see all of these camera things live. And so you will be able to you have all the information yourself.
It'll always be apparent. I promise you that. It'll always be apparent.
Well, you will be able to see everything.
All of this?
You'll be able to see. Sorry,
Rumpus, are you going to tell us
all of this?
Hold on a minute, Are you going to tell everybody what you're going to do if you measure it to be flat?
Yes, I've got a video which I've handed around.
He's already got the K value worked out. He's already got the K value worked out for every fucking scenario, probably.
I've got a little demo of me preparing my swimming costume for jumping in if it turns out to be flat.
You know, we're all here because we've done much the same as you're going to do, don't you?
You have not done anything like what I'm about to do. This is an epic thing.
Where's that? I know everything again. Epic, yeah.
I didn't say. You see, you've misinterpreted. I've never said I know everything. I've said I'm always right, which is a very different thing to say. On subjects which I don't know enough about to be sure I'm right. I don't say anything.
Can I just ask, Rumpus, when have you ever done anything like this before?
I haven't done anything like this before.
So you're a novice at this?
I am.
Cool. No, I'm not slating you because you're doing it. I've done a couple of little small scale, but not big scale.
And Brian's asked if he can be there, and I said I would be happy. But Brian seems to me, although he gets a bit noisy, seems like a reasonable guy, and I've said I'd be happy for him to turn up and actually
beat you up.
He will beat me up. He can jump in after. Well, I'm hoping to persuade him to jump in if I'm right. but he will be able to look through the equipment. He'll be able to see the people. I mean, he can drive up to the various stations. Perhaps, well, it's actually quite difficult to get to some of them. Well, in fact,
Dude, they could let me on LIGO. If they let me on LIGO, I could put this shit to bed, or pretty sure I could anyway. If they just let me on LIGO. Well, why are they fucking denying me access down that canal? That's fucked up, dude. I could put this whole fucking shit to bed one way or another. If they fucking don't want to give me access down the fucking canal that just sits
It's not
there.
science, bro. It's not science. They are afraid. If they wouldn't be afraid, they will allow people to do their tests.
Brian,
I got a question for Rumpus, you guys, right quick. Do you got any
before
pictures,
that,
Rumpus,
Yeah.
of the posts
Yeah.
that you're using? Rumpus, do you got any pictures you could show us?
I do actually have quite a lot now, and I was been wondering. The thing I'm having a little bit of a problem with amongst the access and moving these things mechanically is the live streaming thing. There's a pub within about 200 meters, and I've been in there and I've used their Wi-Fi thing, and it's fast.
Listen, man, for $80, Rumpus, for $80 you can get one of the Wi-Fi extenders, bro. And
hold on a second.
They'll extend your range about 500,000 feet, man.
Dude,
right, and I am trying to get a Wi-Fi. Well, yeah, but the thing is, I need access to to do a Wi-Fi extender. I need to get into them and say, "Can I please plug this Wi-Fi?"
Well, tell them they can keep it. Tell them if they let you install it, they can keep it. It's real easy to install.
I could try that angle. What I'm trying to do is to use an antenna at the bridge to.
Basically, is an antenna, but it's a WPS push button. And tell them they can keep it. It's only like $80, man. You probably could get one on used for probably about $40, man. Tell them they can keep it if they let you install it.
Can you post some of the pictures of the posts so we can see what they look like? How you're like what you built for posts?
Rumpus, a bit of word of advice as well on that.
Okay, I could show you. I suppose.
We've got to be nice to him because he's going to be on our side after this.
I suppose.
No. There's proper word of advice. It may be better off you actually going for a dual SIM phone and doing an access point off of that. Purely because you may get a stronger signal out of the free air, but you'd have to check all the networks.
Tried
the
that,
major networks.
and unfortunately, I'm only getting a 0.9 megabit per second upload there, whereas I can, if I use the Wi-Fi in the pub, get 5 megabits per second upload. And so then I was going to do it. I was either going to do what Brian. I was going to try using antenna first, but yes, I might be using some point-to-point solution in the end. But it is troubling me a little bit.
Pictures, Rumpus?
Yeah, hold on. I'm doing the process of finding where my thing's gone. Where's it?
I don't want it to get lost. I'd like to see some pictures. I don't want the point to get lost.
Brian, what's your plan about LIGO? What you intend to do there?
I want to compare it to the water at 3 locations on each side. I don't care. I'm not going to make any assumptions about what anything's doing. I want to compare the water, and I can see if it collects in the center like it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be collecting in the center because it's a straight line on a curved surface. So there should be a big giant pool in the center of the north arm and I don't know about the south arm or the east arm, whatever you want to call it. But there should be a big pool of water in the middle of the northwest arm.
What the hell are you talking about?
A flat line, Shaky, a flat line on a globe is a basin.
Yeah. What exactly do you plan to do there?
I'm going to bring a short-range laser, okay, and I'm going to mark 3 points on each side right by the canal, and I'm going to bring a water level and just go side to side, and I'm going to test it compared to the water.
But we know the water level. Why you need the water level?
You think you do? Then let me go fucking measure it then.
The only thing is, Brian, you're counting on the... Oh, go ahead.
Wait.
Ricky, sorry.
You don't know what you're going even to do. You don't have a plan, Brian. You want to go there, and then you'll decide what you do.
Shaky, I do have a plan, dude. Okay?
What is the
you think
plan?
I'm going to go there and just twiddle my thumbs, bro? I've been doing this shit my whole life, Shaky. I've been leveling shit my whole entire life in them ranges, bro.
Yeah.
Okay?
So what exactly is the plan? What are you going to
What
do?
I got to do is make sure that it could be a grown over canal as long as the water is continuous, as long as it's all touching each other. Okay. And then I can go side to side at the beginning, middle, and end of each arm. Okay. And then I can see what the water's doing on there. I can use a laser, just a leveling laser, and a water level go side to side in 3 spots. Okay, it's only about it's less than 100 meters away from the slab, dude. So I go side to side and compare what it's doing with the water and see what the water's doing on the slab. You can pour it on there and literally see what it's doing. But I'm using water level in 3 different spots and a laser.
What do you mean? What's the water doing? What do you plan to do, Brian?
Check it, Chikey. Okay.
What?
Check it, dude. Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna have to explain this to you after the show, bro.
Guy doesn't understand lasers over water.
No, I don't understand anything about laser over water.
Okay, Chikey. Okay, now get this, bro.
Water with LiDAR.
Okay, check this out. Okay, if I put a water level 5 foot above the canal, okay, next in the middle of the northwest arm, okay, and then I run it right next to the concrete slab or the top of the tube, okay, and it's dead level, okay, or if it's 6 inches under, okay, I take a laser, okay, I got a 360-degree laser, okay, and that short range, it'll be 100% accurate, okay, so it's going to be easily detectable whether there's curvature or not, okay, I mean, it's easily detectable if their claim is, if they can uphold their claim or not, okay.
Look, the slab is, I don't know, few meters high. How are you going to get the laser up there?
What are you talking about? I don't have to. I just need to have a level spot to reference it, man, from the canal toward the tube. Okay?
To the top.
Dude, I'm talking about spending a whole day on about 5 measurements, bro. Maybe even 2 days on 5 measurements, 6 measurements tops.
Brian, the only thing I worry about is that concrete slab isn't actually straight, because it's the
it don't matter, bro. I'll pour water on it and see what it does.
Claimed to be straight, not the concrete.
I could use the top of the tube. Yeah, hold on, boy. I can use the top of the tube, or I can. You can also pour water on it, man. The water doesn't need but a nanomillimeter of fucking curve. It's going to go one way or another.
No, it's not.
Yeah, well, the law of motion.
Hey, Rumpus, you got any of those pictures to show us? Or?
He was been showing them. You showed us one, didn't you? I seen one, didn't you?
This would be the first public showing of a picture that's relevant to my test.
Do you have any do you got some pictures at the canal? Not,
I wasn't proposing to show you that. I do have some, but I wasn't going to show.
I'm proud of you, Rumpus.
Could show them.
Are you sure?
I haven't seen any pictures. Yeah, all I see is a white screen.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's why I'm
no, that is the picture. That he accidentally cropped it, and that's all we've got left.
No,
Sorry.
I can show.
Just that bit on the left. Can you see? Yeah, there's the post.
That little bit on the left is the edge of the picture that I'm thinking about showing you.
It's a bit edgy. This is too edgy for me. This is I'm right on the edge.
This is more than we've gotten to this date, so this is pretty good.
Seems to be an edge lord.
Okay, so I could show you the view from the bridge.
Do you want some music?
I'll show you the. I think I'll just show you. This is the first public showing of the post pipe combination in my garden, and it's about 20 feet high, and it doesn't have the target on top. And I'll just give you a brief look, and then I'm going to remove it.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get my paperclip tool ready.
Oh, no, where you live?
Oh, too fast.
You hope you guys didn't blink because you missed it if you did.
I looked away. I was trying to get my thing.
Pazzy, you can't see anything.
Do you have any pictures at the canal, Rumpus? I'd like to see
I do
some
have
of
some
those.
pictures.
Like I can't picture what you're.
I do have
only do the canal ones, Rumpus. We don't want to see anything personal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
come back when you got the canal ones. But yeah, I saw a little post.
Oh, he says he has some of the canal.
I have some. Let me just
so a guy don't have to picture what you're. Gives a better understanding for me.
Do I want to show you that?
If it's not Bedford Canal, I'm not interested. If I'm honest.
Well, yeah, it should be where he's doing it.
It is the Bedford
not
levels.
just any old canal.
It is the Bedford levels.
And not like a stock photo off the internet. This should be your own picture. Do you have any pictures of the posts you put up at the canal?
I have some, yes, but I'm not going to show you those. I haven't got those. I haven't got those fully erected at the canal.
What's the secret?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, what?
He is naked and fully erected. That is the secret.
No, seriously though, Rumpus. Like, what is the like? Why is it kind of secretive or whatever at this point?
Well, I suppose because I'm not. I mean, I'm 90% sure I can deliver this. I've got the slight problem with this bloody live streaming, and although I've got this pub that's 100 meters away, I don't want to say I'm going to be absolutely able to do this and live stream it, and then find that I can't get. Although I've been to the pub and I've got the live streaming upload, I haven't got the full internet connection to them, and also at the moment, although I've not been able to get the posts in quite the right position to see them properly, I don't want to say absolutely I've got this in the bag and then have to, although I'm pretty confident, but I'm not absolutely.
But that doesn't mean you can't show us pictures of your struggles and your,
Someone was a little devil, obviously.
Who?
Someone did capture something.
Dude, Rumpus, I felt the same way, where I didn't want to show all my initial setup and doing shit because there's so much that you have to do. I felt the same way, and I also didn't want any outside influences fucking around with what I wanted to set up. So that's why I waited until I streamed everything. So I think you waiting is
I mean,
more honest.
I don't think showing the picture is gonna like completely destroy it. Like, it's just a picture.
No, I will do some preparatory work, and I may even say, for instance, here's a post someone's copied, obviously very quickly. They did well to capture that. I may even say, do you want to sponsor one of these? And I can if you want to name them or something, because I've spent quite a lot of money on this, and there's some more money perhaps that I might spend to make this even better. For instance, I might get a bigger lens or something, or something anyway. And I might, if people want to sponsor, for instance, a position, so there'll be 4 posts and an observation point, and I may ask people if you want to help fund it. I could name it. I could do a GoFundMe on this or something, and then say the top 4 people would get their name. They could name one of the 4 posts on the observation site, perhaps. So if they wanted to call it Bob or something, or something nice like a Roger or something, whatever.
Posty Postface.
A posty.
I'll tell you what, we can meet halfway here, Rumpus. We can meet halfway, mate. Right? How about you draw us a diagram of one of your photos? There we go.
Get out the crayons and draw us a picture of this. Fuck.
I'm joking. Let's move on. Well done,
yes,
Rumpus.
People might be interested. I might be
come back
prepared
when
to say,
you're ready.
Come on,
and I will be doing it beforehand.
Give us one more photo. Come on, man.
Let me just have a
Give
look.
me a teaser. Give me another one over by the.
It's just. I reckon, and I will say this for myself as well. It's more of a proof that you are doing what you're saying, mate. That's all. It's just.
I'm just looking for a teaser.
It's not that we're not believing you. It's just that was a big long story, Rumpus. You've got to admit. That was a lot in that story.
Well, yeah, but it's true.
Yeah, but you chased by farmers. You had all of this. I didn't my knickers. I swear. It was so funny listening to it.
I don't believe a word he said. I want to see proof. Same
come on,
standards as everybody.
I think just give us a teaser.
You went into your backyard and you took a picture. Whoop-de-doo.
Okay, well, that's the sort of attitude you see. That's why I'm not interested.
No,
we want to see proof.
Okay, I was about.
You just got done over by La La Land, man.
Yeah.
Have you found a reliable cinematographer, or are you still having trouble?
I'm having a problem with my video producer. Yes, my third video producer has run away for 2 weeks on me without telling me where he is or how to get hold of him. I've now gone through 3. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Could it be because you're a pain in the ass?
No, it's nothing I did. He was quite keen on joining in and helping. They've all been quite keen, but they've all seemed to have taken up something else they've done in their life. Has come along the day after the first one.
Quit paying him, Rumpus.
The day after the first one, he got a second job, and then he could only talk to me for 2 hours a week or something, and he needed a bit of training. The second one. The first one. No, the first one had to then go off and get another job, and then suddenly he moved and he couldn't do it for any longer. The second one then got a job the day after I asked him. He said he would do it, and the third one has now caught COVID the day after, about 2 weeks afterwards, and then has disappeared for 3 weeks. Although he was very keen, he's very keen to do it. So I don't know what.
I believe that.
Well,
Rumpus, did you leave your equipment by the side of the canal?
I'm not prepared to tell you.
Of course not. Because you know you cannot do that, right?
No, you can't. No.
You're claiming that you can leave your equipment for days and weeks beside the canal?
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, that's England. Cops don't wear guns there.
This
I'm
is
sure
all
he's following
bullshit,
all
ladies and gentlemen.
applicable
All
local laws.
I've left trolleys down the canal before. In the canal, yeah. In the
Okay,
canal,
I think SE Montreal's just sabotaged any chance of me showing any more on this. I'm afraid that's the sort of attitude that.
It's okay. Come back when you've got a presentation.
Yeah,
Or some
I'll be making
diagrams.
some videos about it.
Draw some diagrams.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll be
that's
doing lots
SE
of
for you.
diagrams.
He says, "Oh, you're a moron," even when he knows nothing of what he's talking about.
No, I'm claiming bullshit because there's no proof. We want equal standards for everybody. That's all I'm saying. Show us proof, Rumpus.
Well, he's still doing it. So, what do you expect? You expect him to have it ready when it's not ready.
It's never going to be ready. That's my prediction. Never. Always an excuse. I fired this guy. This guy caught the cold.
You made a
He
claim
has
it's
the
never gonna
mom.
be ready.
Yeah.
I expect in 5 seconds that you post some proof that it's never gonna be ready.
The proof is in the pudding. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there's no pudding yet.
And there
And
maybe
you're
might
saying
never
the
be a
pudding-
pudding.
You're saying the pudding is never gonna be ready because it's still in the process. Oh yeah, okay. Well, my mother is going to bake a cake because the cake isn't ready yet. The cake is never going to be ready. Oh yeah, that's
Funny how
also
you come and
fair.
play lawyer for everybody, Lori, but yet you do nothing for yourself. That's kind of intriguing as well.
I do things for myself. I'm studying in university.
With mum's cakes.
I actually
Yeah,
with
baking
my
cakes, I
mom
bet.
currently. Getting
I
an
level
investment
shit out
banker.
every day of the week. Every day of the week, I level shit out.
What?
I said every day of the week, not every day, damn near every day, I use instruments and tools and level shit out. That's what I do for a living.
I actually do appreciate, by
lush
the way, since
profession.
that people brought up what I haven't done. I appreciate people who do actual experiments like Rambus is trying to do, like George Natchukdik, and also people on the flat Earth side who do. For me personally, I never saw the need to, because flat Earth can already be debunked logically.
No, it can't, bud.
So there's-
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right
Yes,
now,
it can.
man.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there's no Earth curve, but there is something going on. Okay, the Earth curve is not measurable with tools. Okay, they're gonna tell me that I'm shooting my way around the curve and I don't know it, but I'm telling you, when you go to measure it, it comes up flat before you apply corrections or all this shit within a few miles. Okay, and it's supposed to be measurable. There's something going on with light though to make shit look bendy, and like the sun setting and all that. There's something going on. It's more complicated than we know. But science will get there as soon as this breed of fucking knucklehead, stubborn fucking donkeys die off, and open-minded people can start figuring out, and like the sun, they talk about the sun can't be like multiple focal points, but you look at an eclipse through trees and you see a million little half moons and shit, dude. They don't completely understand everything. It's only a model. We don't live in a model. Thank you.
Yes, we don't live in a model.
No one claims we do.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is there's something going on. It's more complicated than we know yet. That's my opinion on the subject. But the ground ain't curving, but light's doing something funny.
Hugh Hefner was the last one to live on a model.
Some of us are fortunate enough to live with a model. Not me, though. I'm actually single.
Star
you,
Wars doesn't count.
Yeah, not me yet.
No, man, not me either.
One more claim, though. One more claim, y'all. If you want to keep
doesn't
somebody, sorry about that. If you want to keep somebody in place, without venturing out of a certain zone, it's a hell of a method going on now. Because the way it's set up, man, it'd be a perfect cage without even having walls. You know what I'm saying? The way it's set up.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
you
a
guys-
possibility, at least. It's a
But you guys
possibility.
talk about
Don't dog me out
dome.
about it. Just entertain
No,
it for a minute.
I know. I'm entertaining the dome. Isn't that the ultimate prison where we literally can't go anywhere? At least with space, there is an endless vast of exploration. But with a dome, you are literally confined.
Yeah, but if we knew about it, it'd be like, say we're right, BioDuel, and they have us so thoroughly convinced we live on this giant ball we have no hope of getting off. We think that the bottom is an ice wasteland. There's no reason to go there. The top is an ice waste. There's no reason to go there. We can go up and out, but that's it. And only a few of us can do that. That would be the most insane, ingenious prison for to keep us an intelligent species.
In one day, we could leave it.
If we knew about it, if we never found out that we were in a fucking prison, then we would never put the resources towards trying to get out.
Prison,
maybe that's what happened in the
implies that
past,
there's
you
an
know,
outside.
like those stories of the Tower of Babel. They got, you know, they were building a Tower of Babel to try to get to heaven. Maybe they were building some kind of tower device to get the fuck out of here. And they had to redesign it and spread us all out and give us different languages.
Ryan, your mic's well open.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Well, since it's open, that's a good point, Brandon.
Tons of negative
Look, man,
reinforcement.
what the Glovers are doing now is they're saying ancient aliens on shit. Look, man, people were never stupid. Giving people a few years, they're gonna start inventing shit, putting shit together. Fuck ancient aliens, y'all. People have always been smart. We've had technology, man. There's been resets. I don't know exactly what they are, but there's obviously been technology in the past, man. I mean, it's not aliens, bro. It's people.
It could be other humans, for all we know, that have us trapped in here.
That's what I mean. It's our past. We were never stupid. Look, they were building fucking giant interferometers in the fucking late 1700s and shit. I mean, come on. They mined out all the copper before even fucking the Dark Ages. I mean, this is in North Canada from Europe. You know what I'm saying?
And to be honest,
you know, we were always smart.
I mean, this isn't a bad place, all in all. You could definitely find yourself in worse places. I mean, it is built for us.
Yeah, but can I
Suits our
ask a
particular
question? Like,
needs.
why is it automatically? Why do people automatically have to assume that this is a prison, regardless of if it's a globe or flat? Why is it possible that we're supposed to be in this place?
Yeah. I didn't mean to say I meant like like, you know, to keep us in a general area, basically, you know, to keep us where we belong, maybe even, perhaps.
If you were to create,
I understand that.
something,
But
you wouldn't want.
there's an assumption always. Ed, every time he talks about it, he speaks of it. And Psyche, they talk about that they don't want to be in a prison. All right, but a prison is only meant when someone placed us here, right? If we're supposed to be in this place, then it is a prison.
If you were to create something that could, you know, move around and shit, and or even want to, you know, keep something, like look at a zoo. You're going to create a container or a cage or some way to keep it in the spot where you want it.
Yeah.
You're not going to just have shit going all over the place in a possibly your realm or whatever. You're just going to want it to stay in the spot you want it to stay in.
Especially if the thing that you're trying to contain is a highly ingenious, inventive, you know, self-replicating intelligence. You know, you're going to have to go to extraordinary lengths to contain that if you want to grow the population to, you know, be large, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you could keep a bear or a lion in a zoo easy enough, but what about something that could invent tools and do all kinds of crazy shit, build a Tower of Babel or whatever, and you know, you're gonna have to do something more creative than just build a cage. You're gonna want to put negative reinforcements. Don't let them drink from these huge bodies of water that are surrounding you. Make it get colder as you go south. Make it so you can't breathe as you go up. You know?
Salt water too. Yeah.
Make it so you can't dig down more than 8 miles, or 10 miles, or 12. You know.
I think the globe earthers they're on board with us, man. They got a deep down in their brain, they got a curiosity. They love the debate because it's a debate that's never really went away. If we're being honest, it's a good debate, and it opens up the mind to shit like this. Whether you have to make exact claims or all that, it's great for the mind to go somewhere realistically instead of fucking light years away, impossible bullshit. You know, I like what Rumpus is doing, man. You know what he's doing is great, man. He's curious, man. He wants proof for himself, man. So I just hope he accepts it when he finds it. You know.
Just to counter what Bioju was saying, though, is that none of us in this whole thing will ever experience going out of this Earth at all. We'll all be dead, long dead before that even happens. Even if space tourism comes in and we get to do that parabolic, none of us are going to leave Earth. Come on.
What they're doing right now, it's just a fancy carnival ride anyway. No insult to what they're doing, you know? It's pretty awesome to shoot someone up 60 miles and have them float down. That's pretty neat.
Pods for cheap, dude.
Hold up.
Go up in pods, Brandon.
Brandon was talking, man. Hold up.
But it's kind of just a glorified version of the carnival helicopter ride. Put you in the thing, go up, bring you back down. You don't go that high, right?
That's, I mean, all they're doing is going up and coming back down. It's this fucking thing. I'll insult it. It's fucking bullshit and trash. That guy's been scamming people for years. You're talking about Virgin Galactic?
Both of them, really.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. They just go up high and come back down. You could do that in a fucking hot air balloon.
What practical use is there to what they're doing?
And fast enough so that they're maximizing the
Hey, he got him in space, though, by definition. He got their ass to space, by definition. And
Well,
then
what
now we see what our
practical use
real
does
limits
that
are.
have?
At least we get to see what our real limits are, people.
This is where like the ignorance comes in. Like I understand that's your position and your opinion of things, but like the other explanation is that they're actually fucking doing it. And then if they are, to compare it to a hot air balloon and what that experience is obviously
They are doing it, though. That's our actual limits, bro. That's what we're saying.
One of those ships passed the Kármán line or was into technical space or whatever. So it's like
So they're going up
one
really high and
possibility
coming
is that
back
they're
down. Wow, that's
one
fucking
possibility is
astounding.
that they're 100% lying about everything, or the other possibility is that they just fucking did it.
Or the
What
other
are you doing, man?
possibility
Bro,
is
you're missing what we're saying, dude.
all they did was go up high and then come back down. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
At least we get to see what they're doing. I believe what they're doing. And it ain't nothing that great, but it is pretty great. At least we get to see our actual limits. You know what I'm saying?
Viable in a hypothetical scenario, would you be able to do it as well? Go up and go down?
I can't really hear you, Matrix. I don't know if you're muffled for just me or everyone, but you're muffled.
He's talking to his pillow.
On a flat earth, would you be able to go up and down exactly like how Branson did it, or is it possible on a flat earth?
I don't think so. The way that I basically project a flat Earth model, it would require a dome in every scenario, and I don't realistically see a dome with a height higher than that at that latitude, essentially. So on my flat Earth model, if I had one, North Pole is right in the center. It's circular. There's a dome. The highest is above the North Pole. So when we talk about these heights that they're launching out of, what was it, Arizona or Texas, some shit, at that latitude, I don't see a dome being structurally capable at that height, at that latitude.
How the hell could you possibly know that, dude?
I know as much about the dome as you guys do. So that's why I preface it in my flat Earth model.
Shit up.
The dome can just be the magnetosphere, 60,000 miles up.
Right. And in the land
How do you
of
know the
possibilities, in the land of possibilities, everything is possible. What I'm saying in my flat Earth model, the way I understand physics, it would not be possible.
Oh, I didn't
Well,
know.
no offense, but you're a fucking idiot. So.
It's this big,
no offense.
glass.
Yeah, no offense, Jimmy. I haven't seen it.
That's highest at the North Pole.
Scary, bro. Too many people talk.
Right, because I put the North Pole at the center of the Earth, and if there's a dome over it, it's logical to say that the highest point of this dome would be directly above the North Pole.
It's possible that the ceiling,
Why do you get the?
like a box.
Why do you get the high? How do you know that would be the highest?
I guess.
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess it's again in the land of possibility, but if the AE map is a close representation, then it would be a safe assumption to say that it would be a dome rather than a box. I understand
It could
what
be,
you're saying.
it could be cylindrical, where the ceiling is flat. I don't know why you're assuming it's like the convexity of it. It's going to be tallest at the North Pole. You're coming in with a lot of confirmation bias.
It could be convex.
No,
it could be
of course I'm
concave. It
biased.
could be flat. It could be 100 miles up or 300 miles up.
No, I know.
exactly.
I don't know why you put a limit on how high it could be or the shape of it. Like you make goofy shit up that tries to debunk the flat Earth model that we don't even have, and you think you did something fucking great. Bro, you're gonna talk the whole way through me? My own people
just insulting me. I'm going to provide productive discussion.
By the way, for
so this is
you
why I
should get in
preface
there
it as
obnoxious.
This is why I preface it as my explanation, my flat Earth model. There is not one. There is a globe model, but there's not a flat Earth model. So I have to make it up in my mind the way I understand reality, if the flat Earth model even exists. So of course I'm biased. Of course I'm making stuff up.
Yeah, but the way you take it on is a dishonest rendition.
The globe model, please.
What's that?
Matrix, your
Oh,
mic
that's
is
the globe model.
Matrix, it sounds like you're talking through
I'm talking to
a
Bio
cloth or
Duel. That's the globe model. Show it to us.
Show you we show you the globe model every single day, man. There's not the only discrepancy.
No,
between,
right now. Show us the model right now.
I'm not gonna do this bullshit, man. You know that we present the globe model every day. The only discrepancies between the globe model and other quote unquote globe models would just be like universe and this plasma electrical universe. But as far as the Earth goes, there is one globe model, and you know we present it, mate. There's no point.
Yo, Jay, you gotta fix your mic, man.
But yeah, like I said, that's why I preface it as mine. And it seems like a lot of flat earthers have different flat Earth models in their mind as well. There is not just one that's agreed upon. There is a bunch. So yeah, of course mine's going to be different. Of course I'm going to make assumptions. Of course it's going to be biased. Yeah, everybody's flat Earth model is nuancedly different. Yeah.
I mean, if that's how you want to justify taking the most dishonest kind of rendition that you can think of, that's fine.
I thought that was the most honest way I could put it. I said that I'm
Really?
biased. I said that everyone has a different flat Earth model.
No, that's justification for your dishonest rendition. That's fine if you want to justify it like that.
It may be wrong, but it's honest.
Have a check in the general. I've just tagged you in something there. Shows you that Mars would need to be up the top bit. The Mars is the red bit.
And by the way, I've just done the calculation about that plane, and it's 150 kilometers away.
So not hundreds of miles.
I came up with
150
80 miles.
Sorry?
Yeah, but most of us are American.
Sorry, what's that, Chike?
I said I came up with 80 miles, about 83 miles.
150 kilometers. So, okay.
No, it's a bit
93 miles, mate. Less than hundreds and hundreds, isn't it?
No, I said 83.
I'm gonna. Yeah, okay. Off the top of my head, I could come up with hundreds, but yeah, I could be
Oh,
hundreds.
well, you're wrong. Yeah, you were
No,
wrong.
I was correct. I was
No,
correct.
that measurement was wrong, wasn't it?
It was correct. It was
correct. No, that was wrong.
It was as an approximation off the top of my head. I'm
was
going to
wrong.
give myself an okay for that one.
Yeah, I'll give it a wrong.
See, I told you, he's scared to be wrong.
Just real quick, Liam, I did look at your video. Is the implication here that Mars and Venus would be farther than Jupiter? Is that the implication?
Rumpus, oh, sorry, Bo.
That's how he's projected it, yeah. How
Rumpus, you can't be so humble where your guesses can't even be wrong, brother. Your guesses can't even be wrong. You're the opposite of humble, man. Grow up a little bit.
When I make a guess, I'm giving myself a big margin of error when I'm just saying guess.
Exactly, man. So it shouldn't be hard to say, yeah, that was a bad guess.
But you're never
Yeah,
wrong because your margin of error is infinite.
No, I was thinking.
And that's pseudoscience.
It was about 100 miles, and I said,
You're a pseudoscientist.
I said it could be hundreds of miles, but it was obviously in the hundreds of miles.
You did not. You shouted hundreds of miles, and you were certain.
Well, I
and
think
it
I'm
isn't.
going to give myself when it was 100 miles.
No,
instead of
I'll give
200,
yourself. You're wrong.
I'm going to say that
you're
was okay.
a pseudoscientist, and
I'm going to say
you
that
need
was okay.
to.
It was better than anybody else.
You need to read
no
the
one
book
else
on
suggested
DK
a distance.
effect.
I suggested one, and it was a reasonable distance.
Die! No, I'm just kidding.
By the way, guys, you're all to blame because you lift Rumpus in a high estate and you all ask him questions. Meanwhile, he doesn't know shit. Just saying.
You're an odious moron.
Yeah, but I don't want to expose him too much because he's going to be the best. He's going to be one of the loudest flat earthers. Right now, he's the loudest Glober. after his experiment, then I guarantee it. If he's honest, he's going to be one of the loudest flat earthers.
He's never going to do it, Brian. He's never going to do
models, man. He can help us with these models, you know.
Ryan, that was the same thing Chemo said about my experiment. And then
I came on and talked to you about your experiment, bro, and I told you it's going to work better in a vacuum. That is fucking retarded.
Oh,
Anybody
no, I know
with
you were
common
one of the
sense.
few. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I watched Blue Marble Science. I watched hours and hours and hours, and I watched him put sandbags on it with the same exact setup, and it stalled. Okay, so I know. I tried to tell you to bury the lead. You have proved that lead attracts lead. That is good. You know that's all you've proven. And I will
didn't use
agree.
lead at all
Lead
in
sometimes
any of my.
repels lead. And if you get your setup just right, lead will
None of my
attract lead. But
material was lead. But I was trying to compliment
if you had your electromagnetics different, lead would repel lead. Trust me.
I know. I was.
It all depends on your electromagnetic.
There were many people that said that it wouldn't work in a vacuum. There'd be no motion. But you
The
were
only
one
way
of
to
the
vary
people.
that experiment is electromagnetically and the material. You know that.
I was trying to compliment you, Brian.
So, anyways, in terms of those launches, the Virgin Galactic and whatever the other one was called, Blue Origin or whatever. It's not like they're not doing anything amazing. They're going up into the sky and they're falling back down. What's amazing is the heights that they claim, and I don't think they're justified. Like, I don't think they've shown that they are actually achieving those heights. If you're looking at the numbers, like I watched through the Virgin Galactic thing, and looking at the numbers, that it was on the fritz, man, and it would just be jumping by crazy amounts, and then it would, like it was bugged and glitchy. It was not reliable. Their little counter that that they had on the side, that graphical kind of like counter. And if you're thinking about it, if we actually think about it, like this thing is falling, right? And it's going to achieve terminal velocity because it's falling in atmosphere. And when we make comparisons, for instance, someone skydiving, they're skydiving typically from like a height of 10,000 feet, and they're in the air for like a minute, free falling, right, from 10,000 feet, and then they release a parachute at around 5,000 feet. So that's like 5,000 feet, and they're in there for a minute at terminal velocity. We don't need to be that much higher to be there for 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever they achieved in Virgin Galactic, So I'm not convinced that they went to the heights that they're claiming, and there hasn't been enough evidence to show that they have.
In your opinion,
terminal velocity is higher at a higher altitude, though, right?
Yeah, and they began falling while they were going up.
What?
They began falling while they're still going up.
Is that a fact?
It's not a
So
fact.
your
yeah.
argument is
It's a
that
fact.
because a parachutist
Show
can take
us
a
the
long
evidence
time
of
to
that.
reach the Earth, therefore Virgin Galactic was telling fibs. What a stupid argument.
They were still accelerating upwards, meaning that their bodies would be on the floor of the thing, and yet they were floating. What?
Huh?
Makes sense, bro.
No. When you throw something up, then it falls all the time as soon as it leaves your hand.
It's not in free fall.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, bro.
You throw something up.
Container.
As soon
They're
as
projected in the
you throw something
container.
upward.
You try throwing a balloon or like a ball with water in it and see what happens to the water as the thing's
Yes.
going up.
If you throw something upwards, as soon as it leaves your hand, it's in free fall. All the way it goes up, it stops at apogee, and starts to get faster downwards.
That's not true.
Which is
Yes,
absolutely
it is.
That's not true, or else you wouldn't see the matter inside of something like the helium balloon versus the regular balloon switching directions.
You don't.
Doesn't.
There's pressure that goes to one side.
The
more
pressure is uniform as soon as when something is in free fall. The pressure in it is uniform.
Yeah, but I'm saying as it's going
Not
up,
if it's accelerating. Not if it's accelerating.
are down, and they're being physically impeded by the container, by the ship.
Again, when you throw something upwards, as soon as it leaves your hand, it's in free fall. It just has a starting velocity that goes up, but it gets slower all the time upwards. It gets slower.
Not
That
a
means
rocket,
it gets
dude. A rocket
down-
accelerates up.
downwards
Don't it?
direction.
Ain't a rocket supposed to be accelerating upwards?
The more dense
that's
things
a
are going to
rocket
be down.
that's a rocket that's undergoing power. When you throw something, you cease to give it power after you've released it. Immediately you've released it, as what was it Morty said. Immediately
I don't know
it's
about that,
subjected-
man.
It's subject.
Hey, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and we'll be back on Monday. They're gonna have an argument over free fall, which I think we started the week off with, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Phil, you said structural physics would make it impossible for the dome to have a flat ceiling. Well, first of all, who says it has a flat ceiling if there is a dome? And like I said in the comments, why would you think if this place was built and constructed for us by some advanced intelligence that they would use the same materials and structural designs that we do? That doesn't make any sense. So obviously, if this place was built for us, there's things that we don't know, right? We can't assume that we know everything just because we're on Earth and science convinces us that they're the all-powerful creatures of the world. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Really enjoyed hanging out, and have a good weekend. And go get some sleep. Bye.